these days. You can't do anything these days.
The good old days.
You can't call someone a slur these days. Everyone's so woke.
Do you ever say to yourself, "Oh, in the good old days that wouldn't have happened"? You know? Do you ever? Would you go? Would you? Do you think the good old? I say to my mum, right?
I know where you're coming from. No, I don't.
Mum says to me, "Do you know how people would say the good old days? Good old days were tough. Going to the well to get buckets of water.
Aye, but you knew it was there.
The water?
Yeah, you knew it was there. Now you wake up in the morning and you turn on the tap. Might not be there.
You're right.
There's a lot of people now.
Or, going to the well to wash your clothes and...
Well, I don't think anyone went to the well to wash their clothes.
No, years ago they did. My mum's...
Washed the clothes in the well?
80s, is it? Yeah?
She washed the clothes in the well?
Not in the well, but you probably...
Well, why didn't she bring the water to the clothes?
Well, because you'd be constantly taking the water out of the well to over to wherever where you had your washing.
Fine, yeah.
So you take the washing
board as well too.
Yeah, that's what it would. So instead of carrying buckets across the field.
I don't think that's everyone's lived experience, though.
Do you think somebody had it easy?
I think that your mother might be exaggerating.
Do you think so? My mum would never, ever.
I'm only joking.
No, she would never do that.
But it was.
It must have been. The good old days. It would have been tougher.
Right? Did you ever walk to school in your bare feet?
No.
Okay.
Do you know what? This is truth, right? Mum used to always make us wear shorts to school, even in the winter. Whatever it was, right? We had shorts, right? I used to dream it. I never had a pair of trousers. So I remember, right? We got these pajamas one time, and the kind of legging things. I says, I'll pretend these are long kind of tracksuit bottoms and stuff. And I wore pajamas to school.
I wonder why I left school at 14, and then I realised that because Mum and Dad was a tailor and Mum was seamstress, and my school bag was homemade.
How cool is that?
Not cool at all. It was like green velvet with black plastic inside.
That was a posh, but if you had that now, that was very bespoke.
It's not a bit wonder I left school at 14.
Come here, so you left school at 14?
15,
right. And what, this is another conversation another time maybe, but what did you do then after school?
Straight to work. I was told, I begged them, I said, I can't do school. It says, well, they just couldn't put up with it anymore, and it says, well, you're going to have to work. You're not going to sit around the house. So I left school Friday, started work Monday. I haven't not worked since.
Yeah. That's it. But look at you went to school till you were 15, right? And how intelligent you are now.
Well, I'm not really.
Imagine you did the full distance. God, you'd been like Einstein.
No, I don't think that's true, because I think we need to stop thinking that that's how you get clever. By going.
So how did you get clever?
I don't believe I'm clever, but I do know.
No, you're switched on, right?
Really, I'm not.
No, but without promotion, you'd be nice to you. So how did you upskill?
It's life smart and book smart, right? So a lot of people are life smart and not book smart, and vice versa.
It's a bit of both.
Aye.
All right, okay.
Okay, but I've never read a book.
Interviewing any authors today? Don't say that.
No. I mean, obviously, for my own pleasure, work's different. Thanks very much, Lee. Let's not get me down that rabbit hole. 2 minutes past 9. I'm sorry if you're late for your bus because you thought the news was on at 9 and now it's 2 minutes past 9. It's Lee's fault. Let's cross over to Donna Marie Doherty with the headlines. Hi, Donna Marie.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Fuel prices remained steady this month. The latest price monitor from the AA shows petrol was unchanged at an average of €1.70 a litre in September, while diesel fell slightly to $1.68 per litre. And while the cost of home charging for EVs stayed the same this month, there's a warning costs are about to rise as Bord Gáis Energy, Energia and Pinergy customers are all facing price hikes in October. Following the recent tragedy in Maguire's Bridge, the Derry and Strabane Policing and Community Safety Partnership wrote to Justice Minister Naomi Long. In a response, the Minister agreed on the urgent necessity for a more powerful and collective strategy to combat domestic violence, abuse and stalking. Michaela Clark has more.
Derry and Strabane Policing and Community Safety Partnership wrote to the Justice Minister last month after members expressed shock and deep sorrow over the death of Vanessa White and her 2 children, which they say underscores the urgent need to strengthen the collective response to domestic violence across Northern Ireland. In response, Minister Long highlighted several key areas of work being undertaken by her department and acknowledged the PCSP's concerns about the need for a joined-up approach between the family, youth and criminal courts. She also agreed on the importance of training for all agencies involved in responding to domestic abuse. PCSP Chair Keith Carrigan says they stand ready to work with the Department of Justice and all relevant partners to ensure that Northern Ireland leads the way in protecting victims and preventing further harm.
This past weekend, Aaronmore RNLI's crew responded to 2 separate calls for assistance. The first call came on Saturday evening just after 7 o'clock to bring a doctor from NowDoc to Aaronmore to assess a patient. The second call came on Sunday night at around 10 to 9 to assist with a medical evacuation from Aaronmore to a waiting ambulance in Burton Port for transport to Letterkenny University Hospital. A busy weekend followed crew members JJ O'Donnell and Evan O'Donnell being awarded for the rescue of a kayaker, and a press officer Nora Flanagan receiving a long service medal for 32 years of service. Bin companies could take over entire regions under a major shake-up of the industry. More than 250 submissions have been made to the Department of the Environment following a public consultation on the proposal, according to the Irish Independent. It would see firms taking responsibility for entire geographic areas. Looking now to weather, overall dry today with crisp spells of autumn sunshine and just light variable or southerly breezes. Highest temperatures of 12 to 14 degrees. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with more at 10.
If you're going through a difficult time, you're not alone. There are now more mental health support services available for men. These include free counselling sessions, in person or online, as well as confidential phone support, available 7 days a week. Getting support can make a real difference to you and your loved ones. To find out more about the full range of free services available, visit yourmentalhealth.ie/men. From the HSE.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show here in Highland Radio. 5 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday, the 23rd of September 2025, and a beautiful crisp autumnal morning we woke up to here in the Northwest. Chilly, but that's fine, because at this time of year that gives way to nice, bright, clear, calm days. So I hope you're enjoying it wherever you are and it puts a pep in your step. And I hope the weather's nice wherever you might be watching us, because we are live streaming the show, of course. We are on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. You can watch us on your smart TV or your Fire Stick, across our Facebook pages and on the X platform. And thanks for your patience. We did have some technical issues yesterday with hearing our guests. That's been resolved now, so we're all good. Now, if you want to get involved in the conversation today, please 086 60 25000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. You can obviously, and we encourage you to, if you're listening outside the Republic, to be part of the show as well. 0035386 60 25000. And if you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25000, or maybe emails are handy for you. comments@highlandradio.com. And just again to remind you, if you're listening to the podcast or the overnight replay, and we love having you on board as well, you can email whilst you're listening and we can pick those comments up and then carry them into the next live show. Right, let's get to the newspapers this morning. We'll start with the Irish Independent. Left-wing parties backing Catherine Connolly's presidential campaign have sought to distance themselves from her comments that terrorist organisation Hamas could have a role in a future Palestinian state. Labour Party TD Alan Kelly said he expects Ms Connolly to retract her comments that Hamas is part of the fabric of the Palestinian people, and it's up to them who should govern in any future Palestinian state. The Social Democrats have refused to back her comments, saying Hamas is a prescribed terrorist organisation, and any future election clearly mandates the renunciation of violence. Sinn Féin, which announced at the weekend it would be backing Ms Connolly's campaign, failed to defend her against sharp criticism from Taoiseach Micheál Martin. Now, I think her comments are a little bit more maybe nuanced than saying she's backing Hamas. I think really it's not in any way to endorse, like she outright is critical of what Hamas has done. But Hamas is not necessarily a group of people. Maybe it's an ideology. You know, maybe there's quite a lot of support in Palestine, and in one way or other, however that progresses into the future, maybe Hamas needs to be part of that conversation. I don't know. Could you draw similarities to what happened in our country? And I do note she was being questioned about it, but you could see in any interviews I've heard of her since that the presenter doesn't really know what they want her to say. Do you get where I'm coming from? Because it is quite complex. And as I say, Hamas isn't necessarily, 10 individuals that you can identify as such. And the presenters are pressurizing her, but they don't know what they want her to say because it's such a complex issue. So it is a tricky, sticky wicket because really in people's eyes, it's Hamas is bad, and anything that sort of seems in any way sympathetic to them, that organization, is going to be controversial. But I think, honestly, her remarks are slightly more nuanced than that, and she's talking more about how the fact that the democratic will of a country has to be respected, and is Hamas going to form part of that conversation? Not necessarily in the military sense and the incredibly violent acts, the most disgraceful of acts it's been responsible for, but maybe in a different light, maybe with arms down as a political movement or something. I don't know. But as I say, it's a very complex issue, and it's not quite as simple as some want her to express it as black and white. It isn't black and white. Nothing in this world's black and white. But anyway, we'll watch on. Speaking from a United Nations summit in New York, where 5 countries said they would recognize statehood for Palestine, Micheál Martin said Hamas broke every humanitarian law and cannot be part of Gaza's future. There should be unequivocal condemnation of Hamas, he said. Now, of course, Catherine Connolly has been unequivocal in her condemnation of Hamas. But I think what she might be reflecting, and I'm not saying she's right or wrong, a reality in that the democratic will of the people in some form or other might involve Hamas. How could you completely ensure it didn't, Anyway, lads, what's going on? Men in Ireland are dying too young from causes that are largely preventable, a new report has found. 2 in 5 men in Ireland die before the age of 75, and many of those deaths are preventable. So it's our fault. It's fellas' fault. We're not doing what we should be doing. We're not looking out for what we should be looking out for. We're not going to seek help when we should be getting help. Yesterday, Movember, a charity for men's health, published new research examining premature deaths, barriers to care, impact on caregivers and economic costs. It found that 2 in 5 men die prematurely, meaning before the age of 75, and the vast majority of these deaths are preventable. Men are 40 times more likely than women to die prematurely, and premature death is higher for men across each of the 5 leading causes in Ireland. The 5 leading causes of premature deaths among men in 2022 were cancers. So, obviously, check your bits, check everything around you. If there's anything that changes, go and get it checked out. If you're over 40, go and get your bloods done to make sure, what is the levels that you need to get checked for. It's going to be in the article. I'll come back for that. That's preventable. Circulatory diseases, get your heart checked now and again. External causes of injury and poisoning, respiratory diseases and digestive diseases. The difference in prevalence between men and women was quite stark in some of these causes of death, including external injury and poisoning, 172% higher in men than women, and circulatory diseases 148% higher. So getting your blood pressure checked, ECGs, that type of stuff will pick these issues up. I don't think anyone, the majority of us obviously don't want to die prematurely. So why are 2 in 5 of us doing so? Because we are not, we're resisting checking certain things. Maybe it's the fear of having to deal with it. But even something like prostate cancer, caught early, if you get your bloods done, incredibly treatable. You can live a long life with no ill effects at all. Whereas if you leave it too late and then discover it, it can be deadly, of course, and have quite a disruptive impact on your life, if not ended, right? And all these other diseases are preventable. Suicide is a problem, of course, and it's a particular problem against men. And there's age categories, I think anyway, And we need to maybe approach the issue of mental health different for the different age categories. I think the reasons why someone, say, 15 to 25 might end their life might be different to someone 40 to 55. So I think we can't sort of have this blanket message of it's good to talk. It certainly is good to talk, but we need to target our information in a different way. I don't know what that is. But anyway, it's on us, and I'm speaking mostly to the men here, of course, and to maybe the other halves who can encourage us. 2 in 5 men in Ireland die unnecessarily. They die unnecessarily before the age of 75 because in many, many, many cases, it is preventable. It's avoidable. And who wants to be in ill health or dead? So we need to get our head around that. Controversy in the United States, and this is in relation to Donald Trump. He has magically, in 5 months, linked paracetamol usage to autism. Now, there are no end of studies as it relates to autism and what may cause it. And the truth is it's such a complex issue and it affects people individually that it's very hard to find out what the cause is. Now, Donald Trump has come out with this RFK Jr., who, to me, to be honest with you, I know he may have, hit the mark on certain issues, maybe around COVID or what have you, but in terms of vaccines for kids and also paracetamol usage for pregnant women, they really need to be very, very careful here because there's been massive studies in Europe, actually, a study of 2.5 million kids focusing on autism. And it looked into whether the mums were on paracetamol. There were twins. One of the twins had autism. The other twin didn't. And really what it came down to, and this was a pool of 2.5 million kids or 2.2 million kids, is that there was no link between paracetamol usage during pregnancy and autism. Now, there are guidelines on how much of it should be used and so on and so forth, and we'll talk about this a little later on in more detail because it's very important information. But it's also very important at times for women to take paracetamol whilst they're pregnant, to control fever or what have you, because that in and of itself can be damaging to the baby. So these two old guys, and I'm in that category almost now at this stage, I think these two old guys need to be really, really careful because they seem to have come up with a solution in 5 months that the world of medicine hasn't. And let's not forget paracetamol, right? There's no big pharma thing going on here because paracetamol is, it's generic now at this stage. It's dirt cheap. Of course, there's money to be made from it. But interestingly in this story, and I'm not sure if it's covered in the papers because I didn't get to read the full article, there is a particular drug that Donald Trump in a couple of months is going to recommend is given. It's like a vitamin B drug. It's going to recommend it's being given. And one of his mates and one of RFK Jr.'s mates is actually behind that injection. So, let's look at it from both sides here. I'm not sure Big Pharma, is necessarily that pushed about paracetamol for pregnant women, but this particular injection that Trump is going to be pushing, one of his mates does have quite a big interest in that. But anyway, we just have to make sure we have the right info. I'm going to read this story. I certainly, in doing so, don't want to discourage anyone at this point from taking paracetamol during pregnancy. Donald Trump last night controversially claimed taking paracetamol during pregnancy strongly increases the risk of autism. The US president used a White House speech to tell pregnant women they should only use the drug to relieve high fever. But scientists have stressed there is no robust evidence of such a link and described suggestions to the contrary as fear-mongering. Mr. Trump's remarks also risk stigmatizing families who have autistic children as having brought it on themselves. This is a critical point as well because, there are potentially waking up here in Donegal, right, here in the Northwest, people waking up. And even though they know science says what he's saying isn't necessarily true, but they're going to say, well, I took quite a bit of paracetamol under guidance when I was pregnant. Is this my fault? Of course it's not. But these kind of conversations do tend to maybe make people feel like that. And if you've got a comment on this, I'm very keen to hear what you have to say. 086 60 25,000. Paracetamol is known as acetaminophen in the US and is sold under the brand named Tylenol. stateside. Last night in the White House, he said, effective immediately, the Food and Drug Administration will notify physicians that use of paracetamol, which is what we've just been talking about during pregnancy, can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit paracetamol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. But as I say, it's very important for me to point out, to be responsible, that medical professionals aren't of that view across the board. The Irish Daily Star this morning, Ireland is to donate €35 million in humanitarian funding to Ukraine, including $250,000 meals for children near the front line. The package was revealed ahead of a meeting today between Taoiseach Simon Harris and Kyiv's Foreign Minister Andrei Silva at UN High Level Week in New York. It will support a range of humanitarian programs, including those run by the UN, the International Committee of the Red Cross and the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. So we're sending $35 million to Ukraine. Some will disagree, some will agree. We apparently have the resources to help our European neighbours, although they're not in Europe. A targeted package of 250,000 meals for children near the front line, which is good. And I'll tell you what I think would be good as well. We have just shy of 250,000 kids in this country as well living in poverty. And we could have also, not instead of, but also targeted supports for them and their family. That would be very useful, I think, as well, because it's quite interesting that these meals for the kids in Ukraine who need them, and I'm not against that at all, the number is very similar to the amount of children in Ireland who are living in poverty. So I'm not saying either or, but these targeted measures would be welcome here as well. In the Mirror this morning, the Taoiseach has brought up the ongoing search for justice for Private Sean Rooney at a meeting with the Lebanese President Youssef Aoun. Private Rooney died when his armoured UN vehicle came under fire while travelling to Beirut in December 2022. The 24-year-old was the first Irish soldier to die while on UN peacekeeping duties in Lebanon in more than 20 years. 3 others were injured in the incident. His family, from Donegal of course, has slammed the subsequent trial of several local militants as a sham. The main defendant in the case, Mohammed Ayvad, was sentenced to death in his absence but remains at large. A number of other men were convicted and jailed in relation to the shooting, to sentences that were described as lenient. And lastly, by the way, if there's money out there for you and you need it, please make sure you're getting it. Families have been urged to apply for the fuel allowance following this year's expansion of eligibility criteria. It comes as a record 410,000 people are set to be boosted by their first payment this week. Fine Gael TD John Paul O'Shea, chair of the Oireachtas Social Protection Committee, said the easiest way to apply for the fuel allowance is through mywelfare.ie. So if you applied in the past and you weren't successful, double check, because they have expanded the qualifying criteria. It'll cost you nothing to go on the internet and see if you're entitled to that. But I think it's, £33 a week, which could be the difference between heat on and heat off. So please just double check if you're in that category, whether or not you are entitled to that payment.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop Diner.
Get ready, Donegal. The big Highland Bingo Party is here.
On Saturday the 29th of November, the Villa Rose Hotel, Ballybofey, transforms into the wildest Christmas party of the year.
Hosted by me, Keith Fletcher, Lee Gooch and Marty Friel on the decks.
Think festive cocktails, classic party anthems, ridiculous games of course, and mad bingo mayhem.
Loads of prizes on the night with the €1,000 top cash prize up for grabs.
You better be quick. Tickets are on sale. Grab yours on Eventbrite or check out highlandradio.com.
The big Highland Bingo Party. Over 18s.
Ha ha! It's bingo, but not as you know it.
Foy's biggest ever end of summer sale is now on, so don't miss out. Whether it's a statement sofa or a full dining room set, our expert team will help you choose the perfect pieces. Order now during the sale at Foy's in Ballybofey or Letterkenny to guarantee Christmas delivery.
Hi, I'm thinking of getting another tattoo to go with my raging dragon one.
Sure. What are you looking for?
Well, maybe something like a...
Bunnies! He wants a row of bunny rabbits with twitchy noses.
Your vote is your voice, so don't let others decide for you.
All holding giant flowers.
Who's that?
Ella. She works in the bank next door.
Make sure you're registered to vote. Go to checktheregister.ie and be a voter so that it's your voice that's heard. From Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's Independent Electoral Commission.
Too cute. And like Sarah on it.
Cute? I'm a martial arts champion. And my boyfriend's name is Jack.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
The time 9:23 now. I'm joined on the programme by Patrick Sullivan, Director of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. Good morning, Patrick. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to your listeners.
It's great to have you on the programme. Right, so 26 years, isn't it, since we looked at the curriculum? That's a long time ago. We're in a very different country now.
We are indeed. If you think back to the late 90s, I'm sure many of your listeners can have maybe experiences of the late 90s. There seems to be a bit of a revival of the 90s coming back as well, with Oasis and different bands touring lately, but they were very, very different times. I mean, that was pre-social media. It was pre a lot of developments we have in technology these days, and things have moved on hugely. If we think about the schools, which we're speaking about today with this redeveloped curriculum, Greg, schools were very, very different places. So our classrooms have changed greatly, and it makes sense now to update and redevelop the primary school curriculum. And yesterday was a really, really significant day when we launched the redeveloped primary school curriculum in a school in Dublin, and by the Minister of Education. And I work for the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, and we developed the curriculum from early childhood all the way up to the end of post-primary school, Greg. So the full 18 years of a child's experience in education in Ireland. And
okay.
This piece of the puzzle in primary is a really, really significant development.
Just remind us how it was drawn together then, the process, over what period of time, and who had a say in its formation?
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. So it's been in development for the last 8 years or so. And we began by asking very simple questions around what is the purpose of a primary education in today's world, for today's world? What do we want for children in our primary and special schools? So everything we do is research informed. So we commissioned a huge amount of research. And one of our flagship, I suppose, research projects is our Children's School Live study, which tracks 4,000 children across nearly 200 primary schools in Ireland. And that was really, really significant because it gave us deep insights about what children are experiencing in our classrooms and what they want to experience in their primary education. But we also consult incredibly widely. So we held a really large consultation last year, for instance, where we had thousands of people contributing to this consultation. We work very closely with schools. 2 schools up in Donegal meet with us very regularly, Creslow and Ballymore National School up at the very top of Donegal there. They come to meet with us every 6 to 8 weeks to really, I suppose, ground these curriculum developments in the practicalities and realities of primary schools.
What
and
level
then, of course, you have
of
to make decisions about what's in the curriculum.
Yeah, for sure. What level of input did parents have in relation to this?
Really significant input across the development, Greg. So we had 2 very large consultations. I mentioned the one last year, but we had a previous one about 2 years before that. And one of the things that we were very conscious of this time around was bringing in the voices of parents early into the consultation, and also trying to reach parents at where they're at. So very often, I mean, parents are very busy people. I'm a parent myself. And it can be very difficult to get involved in these national consultations. So we actively went to seek those communities and people who don't readily, maybe don't have time maybe to engage in those national consultations. So we met them in community halls, in direct provision centres, and in community hubs over the last number of years to really get their views on the redeveloped curriculum as well.
There's a lot in there. Seemingly a lot of the focus over the last couple of days has been in the well-being section, and I suppose it's a first. Primary school children will learn in 5th and 6th class about different sexual orientations. What was the idea or the thinking behind that?
Yes, this really came from children themselves. I mentioned that national study that we had, the Children's School Live study, where children spoke about the realities of their world. It's just like adults' worlds, in that they have neighbours, cousins, brothers, sisters who are LGBT, who have different sexual orientations. They're very aware of this. And it makes sense to introduce learning in relation to sexual orientation.
But there's no just in relation to that. It says LBGT, but there's no reference, is there, to gender identity, which perhaps would be in the T section. So is it LGB or LGBT?
So the learning outcome is about beginning to understand sexual orientation as attraction, which is really, really important. Attraction between the same sex, different sexes, or more than one sex, for instance, Greg. So that's really a clear distinction there. Gender identity is not introduced in this curriculum, but that's the focus of learning there. But
so when you said LGBT, was that a misspeak? And it's not something okay, and it's not. It's literally only just because I want to ask you it now in case people text it. It's not a hill, if you know what I mean. It's just a curiosity to make sure I have it right.
I appreciate the clarification, and this is really important, Greg, as you're outlining yourself. It's really important to be clear about the parameters of learning here that's in this curriculum. So one of the things that we have done yesterday, alongside publishing the curriculum, we've also published curriculum guidance for teaching this particular learning outcome. So teachers and parents are very clear about the intended learning for children in this particular learning outcome. We also have a parent's guide that takes parents through the full curriculum. It's called the what, how, and why of the curriculum for parents. And we have a specific parent's guide as well for the well-being specification, because we understand, as you're outlining in terms of that clarification, Greg, there are sensitivities in this area, and it's really important to be very clear about what is age and stage and development.
Just in relation to sort of gender identity, just as someone with an insight into that, and maybe there is an answer to this, there's been a flow of conversation in that space over the 8 years, I feel, and I just wonder, what was there a point where gender identity was likely to be included, and then a point whereby it was decided not for it to be included? Because, as I say, there's sort of been a flow of conversation in that space over the last number of years.
I think we've seen it in wider society, Greg.
Yeah,
I think you monitor the social media discourse. It's absolutely true what you're pointing to there. And now, in terms of our own proposals, there was never a proposal to bring it in primary school, but it's natural that people pick up these things in the ether and bring them into their concerns about what might come in. However, we had never put out proposals around the inclusion of it. So just to be clear about that.
Yeah.
But that's perfectly natural what you're speaking about there. But there are other, very significant developments right across the curriculum here.
Yeah, and I wanted to move on to STEM, actually, because STEM's a big part of obviously, it's a big area that we need to encourage and empower kids to make the right decisions for their futures.
Absolutely. This is about hands-on, minds-on learning, Greg. This is about connecting what children learn in the classroom to the real world. So it's very much about children being in a very using scientific inquiry, using design thinking, computational thinking, quite new ideas in primary schools. So these are quite new approaches to learning in primary school, where children will investigate real world problems and situations that they identify themselves, and really go about proactively designing ideas around how to make them better. And then, of course, the key bit about STEM is you try something, it's not going to work the first time. You have to tinker around with it. You have to try it again, make it better, and refine that prototype till it becomes something that's really valuable. I suppose that builds in a lot of resilience. It builds in a lot of, active learning for children, and children recognizing that, your first go at something probably ain't going to be the best. So you need to take your time with it and refine it and make it better as you go on there. So that's a new area and a very exciting area for a lot of
as is language, foreign languages in 5th and 6th class as well. It is 5th and 6th, isn't it?
That's correct. We're bringing in modern foreign languages from 3rd class to 6th class.
My apologies.
Now, but you are quite correct, Greg. In the first 2 years, 3rd and 4th class, it's about general awareness of languages. It's about, basic phrases in languages and comparing how they're quite similar or different, and finding the connections between languages. But when you get to 5th and 6th class, it is about learning a 3rd language. And again, it's quite a modest introduction here of languages. So basic phrases, greetings, and as I mentioned, common phrases across languages.
I think that's useful because often in first year, parents will have got that note back where kids are trying to pick classes, and they've no real knowledge in some cases of Spanish or French or whatever. I presume they'll have got a taster in 5th or 6th, and that can be a slightly more informed decision.
Absolutely, that's absolutely correct. And a lot of schools are doing great work around this already, Greg. There's over 1,300 schools that are doing a pilot project called Languages Connects, which is a short module over 8 to 10 weeks. And a lot of primary school children are actually experiencing this, but now it's formalized for every child in every classroom in every primary and special school who will experience this learning too.
In relation to, you mentioned parents, tools for parents. For instance, whatever it might be, a parent might choose to, if they have the ability to take their child out of a particular conversation, be it about puberty or, or it could be to do with religion or whatever it might be. Will parents have access to that info so they can make that informed decision if they happen to? I mean, I think people have to keep in mind as well that children are going to school a little bit later now. You know, a lot of 6th years, 5th years, they're 13, 14. You know, they've gone through puberty. You know, it's like, I know my son's not going to go to school until he's pushing 6 really effectively, right? So
that's right.
By the time he gets to 5th or 6th class.
So
but anyway, some parents might not want their children exposed to whatever it might be. Yeah. So are there going to be tools there for them to make informed decisions in relation to that?
Absolutely. So you're correct. Children are coming to school later. So there's 2 free preschool years and children are coming in later, just like your own child there, Greg. And you're right in terms of there's lots of information that we've published. I mentioned the parents' guides there on our website. But the key bit here as well is the parents know their school and they know the teachers and they know the principals. Talk to the principals, talk to the teachers about this learning. They are in a really good position to be able to discuss the learning, and parents are in a great position there to outline their concerns. And I mean, one of the things about primary school leaders and teachers, they always have the child's best interest at heart here in Ireland, which is a real strength to our system. But they'll be able to outline the benefits of this teaching and acknowledge the concerns.
And also how they're going to frame certain things, right? How they're going to frame it. You know what I mean?
Completely.
Are there going to be images? Well, here's the answer. What language? I'm going to use this type of language. I would be all for that two-way conversation. These aren't anonymous people from a different universe. You know, the teacher could be your best friend's sister. You know what I mean? Or brother.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And they can be very sensitive to a particular view as well. But just to go back to your original point, parents, of course, are the primary educators of the child and have all the rights that you mentioned there about opting out if they so wish.
Thanks for all your time. I do appreciate it. There's plenty more there, but I don't want to hog your time either. Listen, Patrick, thanks very much for your time. Look after yourself.
Take care, Greg.
All right, bye-bye. Take care. Right, that's Patrick Sullivan, Director of NCCA. That's the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. We'll be chatting to Rebecca McDade, actually. She's the founder of A Parent's Right. Okay, well, we'll get her views after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
This week at Dunnes Stores, planning ahead has never tasted so good. With mix and match on lots of your favourite meats and delicious seafood. Any 3 for just €10. With so much to choose from, you can make every meal different. And better yet, you can save even more with your 10.50 voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Vouchers can be used on next grocery shop.
Thank you for attending this meditation session for badgers who forgot to check for gas pipes before digging, without knowing how disruptive it could be, putting others at risk and doing it unknowingly for all their working life. And it could have been avoided had they just checked in the first place. Let's begin.
Always check for gas pipelines before you break ground. Visit gasnetworks.ie/dig for more information.
Thinking about changing your car? Making the change is easier than ever at Kelly's Toyota, thanks to Toyota Approved Used. Choose from our extensive range of used passenger and commercial vehicles, including 242 and 251 demo models at great prices. Tested and approved by Ireland's most trusted car brand. All our cars come with a 12-month comprehensive warranty with flexible payment options available. Talk to Kelly's Toyota today. Toyota, built for a better world. Terms and conditions apply.
Loganair says, let the wee ones fly. Kids aged 11 and under go fare free. Just pay the taxes. Your next family adventure awaits. Book by the 23rd of September. Find deals at loganair.co.uk. T's and C's apply, subject to availability. Children must travel with a full fare-paying accompanying adult.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, supporting you with the right footwear. Have you tried the Hoka Sensation yet? Hoka provides comfort, support and shock absorption, which makes them a good choice for frequent runners and walkers, or anyone whose job requires them to stand for the majority of the day. Check in store or shop online at bmcsports.ie. Step into our safe size experience. Get the right fit for you at Brian McCormick Sports. Christmas Club now open.
Looking for a career change? Come along to McElhenney's Job Fair event to learn about job opportunities in Donegal's largest independent retailer. Join us in Ballybuffet on Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m, Friday from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m, or Saturday from 1 to 5 p.m, and take the first step towards a new chapter with McElhenney's department store.
Right, now we have Rebecca McDade on the show, founder of A Parent's Right. Hi, Rebecca. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Good to have you on the show. Right, now, what's your reaction to this new curriculum?
Well, I have to question Minister McEntee's description when she talks about the children going to school later. Children have always gone to school between the age of 4 and 5, always. So you're not any later than that. So that's nothing different to what it has been before. So I definitely would object to that.
So you think the two free early learning years aren't parents aren't availing of that and sending their children a year late? No.
No,
Okay.
They're availing of it surely, but they can avail of it for the age of 3 and 4, which means they'd still be 5 going to school.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing new, Greg. That's always been. I was 5 whenever I went to school. My children, my 2 girls, were 4 whenever they went to school. So there's nothing different there.
Okay.
That's just there's no need for that.
Right. So, is there any part of this new curriculum that you take issue with?
I do, because there's an awful lot of things that needs to be talked about. And I think it's very important that people get to understand what the question mark is in this. Although parents have a right to object, and they do have a right to object, we still have to question when they talk about making a subject mandatory. Does that mean that we will not be allowed to object in time to come? Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. Parents who have an objective and object to this type of information being taught in schools has never been asked for their opinion.
Well, there has been 2 parental consultations as part of the development of this, Rebecca.
Yes, that's true. And they state that there's over 4,000 children was questioned, but at what age group are they talking about? What schools did they go into? Because they certainly didn't go into ours.
So, with all due respect, the process has happened now and the curriculum has been launched and it's not going to sort of go back. So, is there specific parts of the new curriculum that you actually have an issue with?
Yeah, but again, there's different things that we need to look at. What information are they taking from the parents that they might say they call the parents or the children? When was the information taken from them in order to put this particular program in place?
it's done now.
And we have to look.
It's done now. I'm kind of curious
But
as to.
My comment is here, and my question is: how long has it taken them to derive the information into whether it be online or on a physical book, from the information they've got to relay it into the schools? So to have it either printed in a book or to have it sitting ready online. Okay. So there has to be a certain timeline. So what information have they been taken, and what is the timeline on that information before it's actually printed? Now they talked about you have to look at what information's been taught in school already, and what is the need to change that? Why do they want to change that? And what has been so wrong with the information before?
What's being taught in school at the moment that you're referencing?
Well, you have everything that they talk about from their well-being, which is which they bring into the LGBT, which is what the other man from the NCCA has talked about here. And in the LGBT, within that, it's LGBT IQ plus.
No, there's no.
It's an inclusion strategy.
It's LGB. There's no T. There's no gender teaching in the new curriculum, Rebecca. There's none.
Yes, but Norma Foley has brought in on page 6 of the action plan, which is the LGBTIQ plus inclusion strategy, and that has been rolled in. So it is there.
So just reference what
information from there.
So you've seen this in the new curriculum. Just read out what you're referencing there that's been included, because I don't have access to the documentation you have.
Well, if people, what I'll do is I'll allow people to do that for themselves. If you look up the Norma Foley's action plan, which is the LGBTIQ plus inclusion strategy.
Yeah, but that's
and look at page 6.
Yeah, but that's not that's not part of the new curriculum. You know, Norma Foley's no longer the Minister of Education.
Yes, but all of the information that is now being rolled into schools is still based on all the
see,
information before there.
in a like, I want to have this conversation. It's really important, but in a sort of pre-production meeting, I wanted to focus on the new curriculum, not stuff that was said previously, because I think that was a very important conversation to help form this curriculum now. But you're trying to get me to look at an old document from an old education minister from the past. I want to focus on the new curriculum
and what to understand, Greg, the relevance from one source to the next. That's what I want to do. I want people to actually go and look at that, look at the information that's there, look at the resource that's available to them, and they will be able to make the correlation between one set of information to what is happening now. That is very important.
I really don't. I'm sorry. I don't actually. Really don't understand why we would look at a document.
That's very unfortunate, Greg.
I know, but I like to be honest, Rebecca. So you want us to look at an old document from a previous education minister?
Well, sure. And you want that out. We'll not worry about that, Greg.
And you want me to look at that document?
So we want to talk about the parents' objection to allow to have an objection to this in the schools. The only way that a parent can have an objection to the information is if they are provided with the information. So the schools must provide the information to the parents before it is given and delivered to the children. We have to make no mistakes about that whatsoever.
Sure, but would you not, as a parent like I would, the curriculum's there and we have parents' resources, and I actually genuinely don't know what part you're referring to. I presume it might be the LGB and the puberty element of it.
Have you gone into any of the resources, Greg?
100%. I've actually completely gone through it. That's why I was hoping to have a conversation about it and not about an old document from an old education minister. I do my research and I know exactly what's contained in this document.
And so do I. Have been working on since
Great.
2019. Trust me.
Yeah, but this document that's been published today. So what I'm asking is, would a parent who had concerns, I know I would, not go into the school and say, listen, I don't want my child exposed to conversations about lesbian, gay, bisexual. When is that happening? Because I want to pull my student out. And the teacher would say, all right, we're going to be doing that Thursday week. We'll make some accommodations for your student to be out of the class.
Yes.
Is that not, that's what you would do, isn't it?
And that has happened, and that's what I have done. But other parents haven't been able to do that.
Why not?
Because they're told that they have to go to the school and take their children out of the school. And that's not always possible when you have two parents who are working. So that is in breach of the parent's right to choose. The parent must have the right to choose, but the parent must be informed of the information. There's no point in any school sending out an email with multiple resources and click this link and click that link, because that is not good enough. It means that the parent has got to go through all of the information in order to try and decipher which of this information was actually going to be taught.
Rebecca, there are kids. There are children. I mean, I don't expect the school or the teacher to raise my child. I'm raising my child, and I'll go through those resources and I'll say, look, I don't want you talking to my kid about puberty. Yeah. You know, like, I'm not saying that's what I would say, but I'm the parent. They're my child.
You will do that, Greg, and I have done that. I have done that for the last 6 years and more. But there are other parents out there who do not have the time to do that. They don't have the time to decipher through the information.
But who are we to
And therefore,
decide?
If a parent does not have the proper information, then the schools do not have an informed consent from the parents to deliver that information. Simple as that. They don't have an informed consent from the parent to actually deliver the information. That is so important. But I want to be able to talk about what Minister McEntee has talked about.
Mm-hmm.
She has talked about that she wants to have a convention, a national convention in education. And she has mentioned many different people, like the students, the teachers, the school staff, the public, and other stakeholders. She never mentioned the parents.
Well, what are the other stakeholders?
Exactly. I would like to know that.
No, we are like.
And they talked about she talked about groups from the wider society. Now, where is the parents in that? Parents is the first and primary educator of their children in school. All of the time, always, but especially when it comes to their school. Okay? So we have no problem with our school curriculum when it comes to educational curricula. This is extra and it's over and above. So therefore, the parent has the right to choose. And some schools are telling parents that they don't have that right because they will have to come to school and physically collect them and take them out.
I just want to quote Helen McEntee, by the way, in relation to your convention comment. She says, "This is why I'm delighted to announce that this convention on education will commence later this year. It'll be a truly inclusive process engaging with children, young people and their parents, school communities, education stakeholders, along with other stakeholders from within and outside the education system." So parents.
Well, then she's changed it to suit because it's not in mine.
Really? Okay.
She's changed it to suit.
I'll make that available for you to read if you want to.
And I'll give you mine as well.
That was published on the 24th of July. 2025. So you send me on yours and I'll send yours back and we'll just cross-reference that. But continue your point there, Rebecca. Yep.
Can we also talk about the when they talk about age appropriateness of the information? At what stage do they deem children to be age appropriate for certain information? How do they come to that conclusion?
Is that
Have
a
you
question?
got any answer for that?
Well, every child is different. I mean, a 14-year-old...
Exactly. That is precisely my point.
But what are they going to...
Every child, Greg, is completely different. And every teacher knows every child in their class. They know what they're capable of taking in. They know what information they can put into context. And some cases, that won't be the case.
Well,
they
in
won't
my...
understand it.
Again, I have... like, I don't think... I'm not actually disagreeing with you at all. But I'm dad, right? And there's, dad, mom, dad, mom, whatever, or just one, whatever the scenario is, right? I know my 14 or 13-year-old in 5th and 6th class, and I know their knowledge of puberty, people with different sexual orientations, and it's up to me if they're sheltered or if they're not inexperienced in that area, or if I don't want them exposed to it, it's up to me to ensure that they aren't. I'm their parent. Not up to a teacher to judge whether or not.
I actually don't disagree with you at all. But what I'm trying to say to you is that not every parent understands how serious this information is because they don't know what the information is. That is the most important message that I want to get out today.
What is your concern of kids in 5th or 6th class being taught then, that you think some parents don't have the wherewithal to know what they're being taught? What are you talking about?
Well, when they talk about children who can transgender,
there's no transgender. There's no gender.
Yes.
There isn't.
And Rebecca, there is information that's been taught already on the different gender topics.
There is no.
So it is already being taught in schools.
There is no reference. Well, the new curriculum does not provide for the discussion of different genders, and if there's a school doing it, parents should make an official complaint to the Department of Education because it's not in the curriculum to be discussing about various genders. Transgenderism is not part of the new curriculum, Rebecca. So
that will be an interesting one.
So if a school is teaching that, or if a teacher is doing that, then that person or the school needs to report to the Department of Education because there is no scope within the curriculum to discuss transgenderism or different genders or non-binary, etc. It is not in the curriculum.
Well, I will be able to send you the information just so that you have it for yourself.
Are you on about the discussion documents, the books, the training courses in Dublin? Is that the stuff that you're referencing?
No, I'm talking about the actual toolkits.
Yeah, I've seen those toolkits, yeah, but this is the new curriculum here. So if it doesn't...
But you see, Greg, this is the thing about it. when they talk about the last time you had Annette Holan on from the NCCA, and she talked about, that even for SPHE books, and I'm going to talk about secondary schools, right? That the children can be opted out of the SPHE courses, the classes, and that's fine. That's okay. But she also said that they don't have to use any of the books.
That's secondary school, though.
If they use the online resources.
Yeah, but you're on about secondary school now. We're focusing this morning, and I do have to wrap it up. So I want you to have the final say. We're talking about primary education.
Will the parents have access to the teachers' resources on their toolkits?
Yeah, very important, and I think that has to be made available because it's very important that parents have access to, and also how that information is going to be interpreted as well, which I do agree with you on. Rebecca, listen, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, you've got your own resources, your own social media.
Yeah.
People can check that out.
There's so much more, Greg.
Yeah, I think it's just
not enough
in this
short time.
This day and age, though. People like you who have a platform, and me, we need to make sure that the information we're sharing is actually current to now and is actually, relevant to the conversation. Because you see those parents that you talked of, and I'm not sure what you meant, that might not have the wherewithal to contact schools and what have you. They might rely on you for information, or they might rely on me for information. And it's incredibly important that both you and I put out correct information there, especially in this day and age.
I can tell you, Greg, I had parents that contacted me from the lower end of the country about 3 weeks ago, maybe even more, asking me for help because they were at a complete standstill with their school.
Okay.
Because they were not helping them and they were not giving them the information.
Homeschool the kids, I'd pull them out and homeschool them if that was the case.
A lot of parents are actually dealing with.
I wouldn't stand for it in any school I was attending, but I take your point, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. Rebecca McDade, they're back after these.
Hey, look what Mum got at the supermarket.
I can't cook that. It's fish.
It's easy, Dad. Hake is handy in the pan. Trout is perfect in a tray bake. Even mussels are ready in minutes.
But timing, the temperature, it's frightening. It's fish.
Shh. Give it a go. It's healthy and tasty too.
Don't be scared of seafood. Pick up some today for a dinner that's
surprisingly easy to cook.
Find meal inspiration at boardbia.ie.
Monster Bingo every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel. €3,300 must go with €1,000 on the last page. Doors open 7:30. Bingo starts at 8:30. That's Monster Bingo this and every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford.
Hillary's are on a mission to help the nation get window-wise. Get up to 40% off selected styles right now in our super sale, including up to 40% off our super stylish shutters. Plus, there's free thermal lining on our favourite Roman blinds and curtains. And grab an extra 10% off everything from now until the 29th of September. Don't forget, with Hillary's, expert measuring and fitting is always included. Book your free in-home appointment today at hillarys.ie. Conditions apply.
At Hidden Hearing, we believe you should keep hearing it all. Keep dancing. Keep celebrating. Keep laughing. Keep being you. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie and book a free hearing test today. Hidden Hearing. Your hearing is our expertise.
You want a little treat but not chocolate or gelato? Check out this coffee that we made called Bravado. Sit and sip it slowly, or if you're in a rush, it tastes as good on foot or while you wait for the bus. Deliciously different. Get your new favorite cup. If you want some roasted goodness, come hit us up. Your taste buds have voted. They want a flavor that's goated. They are ready to thrive. Now Bravado's arrived. Deliciously different. Find your nearest store at bravado.com.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenney's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, so the weather forecast is going to be pretty steady for the next few days. Overall dry today with crisp spells of autumn sunshine and just light variable or southerly breezes. Highest temperatures of 12 to 14 degrees. Right, we want your views on everything we're talking about today, and I really hope that people don't think I'm being combative on that issue. It's just I want to make sure that whatever we put out, no matter what we're talking about, is as and I'm not saying Rebecca was doing otherwise, right? But is based on fact, not concern or worry or whataboutery. Again, I'm not accusing Rebecca of that by any stretch of the imagination, but that we're talking about actually what's in there, what our rights are. Can you pull? Is it compulsory? Can you pull a kid out of these classes if you so wish? Will it depend on the mood of the principal or the teacher? You know what I mean? We will get to the bottom of questions like that. But if you've any comments in relation to it, 08660 25,000 WhatsApp and text, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Loads coming up over the next couple of hours, including after the news and obituary notices, because it is Tuesday, Community Garda information. We'll be back with that and much more after these.
The Mayo Blackface Sheep Breeders will hold a sale on Saturday, September 27th at Ballinrobe Mart, County Mayo. On offer will be 450 hoggets, 1,000 lambs and 300 aged ewes, including Mayo Blackface and Lanark types, plus 200 Mayo Connemara Blackface rams. This is a great opportunity to source quality stock for your flock.
Host your next corporate meeting or event at Century Complex in Letterkenny. With 4 high-tech function rooms, we've got the perfect space for every group size and need. Professional, flexible and fully equipped, all under one roof. Call Century Complex on 07491 21976 today for more information or to make a booking.
Here, would you look at Eco Enda? He's only after going and getting himself one of the new Skoda EVs.
First he went vegan, then he got solar panels, now this.
Yeah, sure, he'd buy anything as long as he can get a grant for it.
Must be from that county beside Monaghan.
The new fully electric Skoda range. The kind of cars that get the neighbours talking. But only if you're quick. Check availability at skoda.ie. Skoda, let's explore.
Skoda. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721396.
The Donegal Cheviot Sheep Breeders Show and Sale will take place on Wednesday, 24th of September in Stranraer Mart, including pedigree rams, hogget ewes and ewe lambs. Show at 5 p.m, sale at 7. That's the Donegal Cheviot Sheep Breeders Sale, Wednesday, 24th of September at Stranraer Mart, with over 60 SAS approved rams on offer. This ad is sponsored by Robert Key Power Equipment, now offering 0% finance on all Honda quads.
Louis Walsh Opticians in the Courtyard Letterkenny are seeking an optical sales assistant. Previous experience is preferred, but full training will be given. Apply with your CV to admin@inisheyecare.ie.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Junior Minister Marion Harkin, a Sligo lead from and South Donegal today, says she will nominate Maria Steen so she can run in the presidential election. Ms Steen currently has around 14 members of the Oireachtas backing her. She needs to reach 20. Independent Ireland's 4 TDs are meeting this morning to decide if they'll back her bid for the presidency. The deadline for close of nominations is tomorrow. Minister Harkin says she is signing Maria Steen's nomination papers to give voters a wider choice and to ensure people with different views aren't polarised. Ms Harkin has confirmed she'll be voting for Heather Humphreys in the election. The chair of the Oireachtas Migration Committee says he wants to see more transparency from the Justice Minister on the IPAS system. Sinn Féin's Matt Carty will be one of the politicians questioning Jim O'Callaghan when he faces the committee this afternoon. The budget for processing and housing asylum seekers has grown to €1.2 billion this year. Deputy Carty said it's time to find out where that money is actually going.
There's virtually no transparency or accountability as to how that money is spent, how some individuals who have become millionaires out of this process, how they secured contracts, what terms and conditions were applied, and the very least that the public deserve, because this is public money, is that full transparency and accountability.
An older persons charity is looking for major investment in the Meals on Wheels network across the country. Alone says almost 25% of HSE patients receiving home support, many of them older people, are at risk of malnutrition. It wants to see a €10 million investment in the Meals on Wheels service in next month's budget. CEO Sean Moynihan says people are going hungry as they worry about paying their bills.
Last year, Meals on Wheels, the reason we're looking at that, other providers to do that, is because we had an increase of 28% of older people coming to us with nutrition issues. And that's either access, some of that caused by lack of funding, some of it caused ultimately needing support around that.
A HSE audit from 2023 has found that hospital consultants in the West and Northwest were the second highest average earners in the state after their counterparts in HSE Dublin South East. The audit details, results of which are published in today's Irish Independent, show that nationally the number of hospital consultants earning over €350,000 for treating public patients jumped to 99 in the space of a year. The average remuneration for the 99 consultants was €416,000. The highest paid received $963,000. That's slightly less than they had received the previous year. The weekend saw Aaron RNLI's crew respond to two separate calls for assistance. The first call came on Saturday evening just after 7. They brought a doctor from Nowdock to the island to assess a patient. The second call came on Sunday night at around 10 to 9. They assisted with medical evacuation from Aaronmore to a waiting ambulance in Burton Port for transport to Letterkenny University Hospital. The busy weekend followed crew members J.J. O'Donnell and Evan O'Donnell being awarded commendations for the rescue of a kayaker. Press officer Nora Flanagan received a long service medal for 32 years of service. Fuel prices remained steady over the course of the month so far. The latest price monitor from the AA show petrol was unchanged at a national average of $1.70 litre in September. Diesel fell slightly to $1.68. The cost of home charging for EVs stayed the same this month, but there is a warning the costs are about to rise as Bord Gáis Energy, Energia and Pinergy customers all face price hikes in October. And the in-house support dog in McGilligan Prison in County Derry has been removed from the premises. It's said to be due to an external safety concern. With more, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
A Northern Ireland Prison Service spokesperson said the spaniel named Bailey was removed from the facility after the PSNI warned that an external source planned to harm the dog in an attempt to embarrass the governor. The spokesperson added that Bailey's welfare has always been the priority. They confirmed he's now safe and well cared for, just as he was while at the prison. While at the prison, Bailey provided emotional support to inmates. His presence helped to enhance their social skills, self-esteem and self-confidence while reducing stress and anxiety. The prison service noted this work helps reduce the risk of reoffending. The statement concluded that the ongoing inaccurate and sensationalist reporting about Bailey has been an unnecessary distraction from the current challenges facing the prison service.
Weather forecast: overall dry today with clear spells of autumn sunshine, just some light variable or southerly breezes. Top temperatures today 12 to 14 degrees Celsius. Tonight dry with long clear spells. Later some mist or fog patches will develop. It'll be chilly with lowest overnight temperatures 2 to 7 in just light southeasterly breezes. Tomorrow dry and settled with sunny spells and just some light southerly breezes. Highest temperatures on Wednesday 13 or 14 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Check all the day's news on highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notices this Tuesday morning, September 23rd. The death has taken place at Glasgow Royal Infirmary of Patrick Pat Hanlon of Glasgow, Drumkeen and Meenaniller, Gweedore. His remains will repose at Rorty's funeral home, Derrybeg, Donegal, tomorrow from 5 o'clock until Rosary at 8 p.m. Removal afterwards to the family home in Meenaniller. House strictly private to family only. Funeral Mass will take place on Thursday at 11 a.m. in the Church of the Sacred Heart Dunlewy, interment afterwards in Mahragan Cemetery. The Funeral Mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty Funeral Director's Facebook page and on the church webcam. The death has taken place of Margaret McCallion, Mintahala, Ballymaggan, Buncrana. Margaret's remains are reposing at her residence. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10 a.m, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, with burial in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of George Moore, Swilly View, Ballymaleel, Letterkenny. Funeral from his late residence this afternoon at 1:15. Going to Conwall Parish Church, Church Lane, Letterkenny, for 2 p.m. funeral service of Thanksgiving. Interment afterwards to Gortley Cemetery, Letterkenny. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. Immediate family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to Medical Aid Ward and Palliative Care, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Bonnie Day O'Donnell, Ballyhillion, Malin Head. Funeral from the home of James Joseph Doherty, the Guy, Ballyhillion, Malin, this morning at 10:20 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in the Star of the Sea Church, Malin Head, followed by cremation in Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Seamus Doherty, Kennedary, Welchtown, Ballybuffet. Funeral leaving his residence this morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in the Church of Our Lady of Perpetual Succour, Glenfin at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in Kiltyvogue Cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the parish webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Yeah, we're good mates, yeah. Look, I'm always there for him, 100%, through thick and thin. And sure, he likes having me around. Anytime he's going out, I'll get the shout, you know? And someday, I'll probably kill him.
Smoking isn't the friend you think it is. Quit for 28 days and start taking back control. Find out how at quit.ie or free phone 1800 201 203 from the HSE.
086 60 25,000. That's our WhatsApp and text number. Give us a call on 07491 25,000. A caller says, I understand that parents are concerned, but teachers have a very vast curriculum of what they have to cover. Dealing with taboo topics such as sexuality, the SPHE and consent is difficult to do in front of a group of children. Often I find teachers don't even cover SPHE as it's too awkward for them. We also need to be more concerned about what our children are accessing online. At least what they learn in school is vetted to an extent. Yeah, I mean, could you be concerned as to what's being taught at school if your 13, 14-year-old has a phone that you don't monitor? It would be a bit ironic, but yeah, I take where you're coming from. And I just want to say, by the way, I would be relatively, not that it matters, but just, I'd be relatively conservative, if you know what I mean. Not generally speaking. I'm not really sure what I am or what I'm not, but in terms of protection of children, it's very important to me that children are protected. And if that sometimes is educating them on certain matters properly, that doesn't in any way corrupt them, but empowers them or lets them know what's right and what's wrong, then I would potentially be in favour of that. But it's important that we know what's going on. So just to be clear, I think it's very welcome that sort of, gender issues are not being discussed in primary schools, for an example. So I think that would leave me in the sort of conservative bracket. And I'm only clarifying that just that to emphasise the fact that I wasn't challenging Rebecca on those big issues. It's facts, what's being taught, how it's being taught, and our right to know what's going on or to withhold our children from it. A caller says it's very simple. Teach your child yourself and don't leave it to the school. So regardless of what the school teaches, if you teach your own child at home, there should be no issue, says a listener there. I think it's really some parents don't want some teachers talking to their kids about puberty. Spout lies from Facebook. Do your own research. Why? So we can be led to the same propagandists you are. No, you've made a claim, so you provide your sources. You don't tell people to go looking because we need to know what you're looking at specifically so we know if it's reputable. Another sounds like their jobs are more important than their morals if they can't save the kids from the scare gaze. Not sure what that means, but read it anyway. My 11-year-old came home from school with a consent form from a group who would be attending her school. She's in 5th class primary. On the form, where it asks about gender, it asks, are they male, female, or non-binary, or prefer to self-described, as this is indoctrination and education is not appropriate at all. Would you do me a wee favour if you still have access to that form and anonymously? Would you take a picture of that form and send it in to me here, please, if that's okay? Because I think a lot of people might have concerns that that's being put to someone of that age. In this curriculum for primary school, is bullying dealt with? Another stems as good as dead. We need our kids learning trades. That's what the bots won't be doing. Really good point. And tradespeople, really, really important. I remember, there was a time whereby unless you were doing computers in inverted commas, you were seen as not really doing something good for the future. That listener is dead on, I'll tell you. AI will be doing a lot of that stuff, and we will need tradespeople, and you can make a fortune in trades at the moment. A caller says, have they done anything to change how Irish is taught? You spend 13 to 14 years teaching Irish to students, and the majority leave with very poor Irish and very few leave being fluent. If we taught maths or any other subject with outcomes like this, it would be changed. Martin, thank you. I don't believe there's any drastic change to how Irish is being taught. Schools should teach children to read and write, history, geography, etc. In my opinion, education should be done at home if needs be done. Too much nonsense talked in schools nowadays compared to when I went many years ago. You only have to watch a soap on TV nowadays to see how this is pushed in your face. Go back to normality and let people decide for themselves as they grow. Pure nonsense. It would be wonderful if every family had that conversation about puberty, about consent, about what's right or wrong. Is there not a strong argument, and I'm only posing this as a question, that if a child is being exploited, you only have to see the level of sexual abuse in this country and the perpetrators, how many of them that there are. Is it not important that we make sure that every child knows that if an adult does a certain thing that it's wrong, or what's right and what's wrong, or how you can say no, that someone can't sort of try and buy your trust on something and say, listen, this is our secret. No, give the child the ability, if there's a situation, to understand the basics of what's right or wrong in that regard, to understand their body in that regard, but also to be able to say no, or to go and see a parent or a guardian and outline that out. Do we not have to, is it not in the best interests of us caring and looking after children and protecting them, that is taught, and that we accept that we can't rely on every house to actually do that? Because sometimes the people that are responsible for actually looking after that child could be the person that's exploiting their innocence. I'm not saying that's my opinion. I'm putting that out there as a conversational piece, and for us to think about that to ensure that our children are best respected or protected. Incredibly disappointed listening to Rebecca. Can't understand how a parent would be so prejudiced. What they would not want children learning about it means to be gay or lesbian, even though their sisters and brothers might be LGB. It's so sad and disappointing. Views like this, condemning people to the shadows because you don't understand or don't want to understand, has had such an impact on Irish society. We need to stop allowing religion controlling what our children learn. Greg, this lady obviously has not a child in school setting, because every parent has the right to choose what the child is being taught and shown at school. Very sad that she can think her information is right and the correct information is wrong. Rebecca does have. Her argument seemed to be that not every parent knows that their child could be being taught this in school. But I don't think it's necessarily like, I'm not saying this is what Rebecca is saying, but I know what's going on, but I need to put this information out there into the ether so other parents know what's going on. I think people are well informed, and I think most parents are kind of trusting of the school setup, because a lot of them have daughters or sons or brothers or fathers that are teachers, and they know kind of what the story is. Frankly, as a parent of 4, a caller says, I'm starting to think parents shouldn't have that much say in curriculum at all. The majority of them are proving to be complete failures as parenters and uneducated illiterates with no critical thinking skills. I'd like them to be kept far, far away from my children's education. Another sounds like Rebecca is living in the past. We live in a new age, and we have to accept knowledge is power. If you're concerned, take control of your own child's education. I just find it hard to believe that 12, 13, 14-year-olds in this day and age do not know that there are gay and lesbian people on this planet, that their brother or sister could be, that they don't have an uncle who's gay or an auntie who's a lesbian, or they don't see it on Coronation Street or EastEnders, or that I just can't imagine a 13 or 14-year-old that doesn't know that is the case and doesn't really have an issue with it. Like, I noticed in my own children at that age that it's not something that bothered them. There was no discrimination. There was no othering of people. They just said, well, I'm not that way, but that's the way they are. Now, there are areas there where, there might be issues in terms of gender identity, people thinking they're cats. I think we've moved on from that, the cats stuff and what have you, I think. But I do know there's a lot of people sort of potentially, not all of them, of course, in the LGBT community themselves that have had concerns with the way certain conversations are going, particularly as it relates to children and those that are under the age of 18. It's messy in terms of, getting to the bottom of it all. But the new curriculum is quite clear in what it is teaching, and presumably teachers will stick to that. But anyway, listen, let's keep the conversation going. By the way, all opinions matter. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number. We'll be back with Community Garda information, the latest appeals and information here first on the 9 till noon show after the break.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday, September 23rd, playing on the brown sheet. Reference number is S12. It's week 39. Today's numbers are 90, 54, 81, 14, 66, 86, 58, 30, 82, and 2. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
When the time comes, the last thing you want is for your family to worry about funeral costs. That's why On Post Insurance offers funeral insurance for those aged 50 to 75. A simple way to help ease the burden for the people you care about most. Take a moment today to plan ahead. Call 0818 22 22 22 or visit onpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as On Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of On Post. Funeral insurance is underwritten and provided by New Ireland Assurance Company plc. On Post Insurance is a tied agent of New Ireland Assurance Company plc for life assurance business.
Who's watching your home while you're asleep, at work, or on holiday? With the Sheridan Security Alarm System, you can be assured of round-the-clock monitoring. Our central monitoring station is on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic, and medical signals, giving you the peace of mind you deserve. Sheridan Security Systems, Bonagee, Letterkenny, protecting what you value most. Call us for a free quotation on 9126 6025.
We wish you a... It may be too early for Christmas carols, but it's never too early to start the Christmas shopping. Save hundreds, possibly thousands of euro shopping online with Space Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your Christmas parcels and post. Save on delivery and on customs tariffs this Christmas with Space Hub Derry. Open Monday to Saturday, collect at your convenience. Find us on Facebook and Google Space Hub Derry.
You're very welcome back to the
Community
9 till noon
Garda
show.
information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic and medical signals. Call Sheridan Security on 9126
Yes, indeed. You are welcome back, and that means it's time for this week's instalment of Community Garda information. And I'm joined in studio from the Letterkenny Garda station by Garda Grania Doherty. Good morning to you, Grania. Thanks
Morning,
so much
Greg.
for your time. How are you keeping?
I'm doing the best.
That's very good. Right, we'll get into it because we've got quite a bit to get through today, which is great. Right, okay, that's information later. Let's start with appeals. And Garda, you're looking for the public's assistance in relation to a collision in Raphoe.
Yes, Garda are investigating a single vehicle road traffic collision. This occurred on the N14 in the area of Carrickadós in Raphoe on Sunday the 21st of September, shortly after 8:40 a.m. So the vehicle involved was a black Nissan. It had been travelling from Lifford towards Letterkenny when this collision occurred, and the vehicle had ended up in a ditch. The driver and passenger of the vehicle were taken to Letterkenny University Hospital to receive medical treatment for, thankfully, non-life-threatening injuries. So we're appealing to anyone who may have observed this collision to make contact with Garda in Letterkenny on 9167100. If anybody travelled along that route, the N14, the Lifford to Letterkenny road, with a dash cam, between 8:30am and 8:50am, we're asking them, as always, to make that footage available to us, please.
A couple of instances of criminal damage. We'll start in Lifford.
Yes, this incident happened in the Crowhan Heights area of Lifford on Saturday the 20th of September, shortly before 11:30pm. So a car that was parked up at that location, it was set alight. Fire services attended the scene. They extinguished the fire. We're interested in hearing from anybody who may have travelled in that area with a dash cam between 11 p.m. and 11:45 p.m. We're particularly interested in any sightings of 2 people who were in the area. They were wearing their hoods up. If anybody's seen those 2 people, please get in touch with us. If anybody can assist with any relevant information or dash cam footage from that area, we're asking them to contact us in Letterkenny on 9167100. And the Garda Confidential line, this goes for all our appeals today. It can be contacted on 1800 666 111.
Because, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it or what the motivation might be. People might feel that they don't want to get involved. And that's where the confidential line comes in. Information can be passed on without the fear of that happening. Now, this is not to say for a moment that you wouldn't get the same level of confidentiality from your local Garda station, but it adds an extra layer of peace of mind, I think.
You would, of course. So for anybody that is apprehensive, as you say, about contacting their local Garda station, that option's always there, the Garda Confidential line. And as I said to you before, it's an automated service. It's not even a human being you're put through to when you ring. It's like an answering machine. You talk after the beep. So you just leave whatever information you want to leave. There's no requirement whatsoever on you to leave your name or any of your details.
Right, now let's go to Letterkenny and criminal damage incident there too.
Yes, this incident's believed to have happened at Lower Ard O'Donnell, just in the town here in Letterkenny. On Thursday the 18th of September, in and around 3 p.m, Garda received a report in relation to a parked car that was damaged at that location. The wing mirror was reported to have been deliberately damaged by the driver of another vehicle. So it's alleged that this driver was passing by and he used his hand to knock the wing mirror off the parked car as he passed. We're appealing to anybody who might have travelled in that area with a dash cam around that time to make the footage available to us. If anybody witnessed the incident, of course, we're interested in speaking to them also. Gardaí in Letterkenny can be contacted on 9167100 in connection with that incident.
Right, Gardaí also investigating an assault on the high road in Letterkenny.
Yes, this assault is alleged to have occurred on the high road in the early hours of Saturday the 20th of September in and around 12:30, half midnight and 20 to 1 in the morning. So a man was reported to have been assaulted by another man. The man is described as being tall, of slim build, dark haired, and he was wearing a black jacket and black trousers. So following the incident, this man in question took off on foot running in the direction of the main street in Letterkenny. So the injured man attended Letterkenny Hospital to receive medical treatment for injuries he sustained, none of which, again, are life-threatening in nature. We're appealing to anyone who might have witnessed this incident or who might have travelled in the area of the high road Letterkenny between 12:30 in the morning and 1 a.m. with a dash cam to make that footage available to Gardaí in Letterkenny. And again, Letterkenny Garda station can be contacted on 9167100.
Yeah, and you'll see it reported on news, or if you listen back, it's a decent description. That person may well have stood out given the time frame and what have you. If you're out on the road returning from a night out, or a taxi driver or what have you, can help there. Right, burglary at the Diamond now in Donegal town.
Yes, this burglary occurred at a business premises, a takeaway. It's located in the Diamond in Donegal town in the early hours of Sunday the 21st of September. So between 2:45am and 3am, 2 men entered the building through an unlocked door to the rear of the premises into the staff quarters actually of the building. They caused some damage inside. They didn't steal anything while in there. We're appealing to anybody who may have travelled in the area of the Diamond between 2:30am and 3:30am with a dash cam to make that footage available to us. Of course, CCTV is being checked at the minute from nearby premises within the Diamond. Any relevant information should be passed to Gardaí in Ballyshannon on 071 985 8530.
Now, Gardaí are hiring.
We're hiring yet again. The recruitment campaign is underway again. So interested candidates it's only just a 3-week window that they have to apply. So they have until 3 p.m. on Thursday the 9th of October. And as always, it's www.publicjobs.ie. You can visit that website for more information or to apply. So we have a few events coming up now in relation to this campaign. Buncrana Community Policing Unit, they're going to hold an information stand in relation to the recruitment campaign on Saturday the 27th of September in the Garda station in Buncrana between 11am and 1pm. Letterkenny Community Policing Unit will hold 2 Garda recruitment events on Thursday the 2nd of October. The first one is in Letterkenny Shopping Centre between 12:30pm and 2:30pm, so maybe useful for anybody that's on their lunch break that wants to drop in there. And then that evening at the Central Library, Main Street, Letterkenny, We did this last year also as well, actually, and we got quite a good turnout. It's in a room downstairs in the library, and that's between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. That might suit somebody maybe who would rather not, come up. I find sometimes people are a bit wary about coming up to discuss the recruitment campaign.
Really?
Maybe in a public thoroughfare. It's just maybe they don't have the time, or they're a bit rushed, and it's a bit too public.
But it's
for
a good
them,
opportunity to ask Gardaí, why this is a good job for me, because it could be someone who's looking for a career change. I mean, I know it's tough. I know it's a tough job. All jobs are tough, but there is a pay structure there, career progression potentially. And other benefits as well. So, in this day and age, it might be an option, but you don't know unless you go. And you can talk to Gardaí about why they're doing it, why they got involved, how tough is it, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And in Buncrana and Letterkenny, you'll have the more seasoned Gardaí, I'll say, about myself.
The older ones.
The dinosaurs. You'll have us. But, look, we have our uses too. At least we can talk to you from experience about it.
You look about spring. I have a few people in here winter.
Yeah. You're being very kind.
All right, maybe.
But also, we'll have trainee Gardaí there also, which is of great benefit because they're going through the process at the minute. They've just been through the application process. They're in the middle of their training. So you'll have guards there who have years of experience who can talk to you about how they found the job over the years, take advice from them, and also the trainee Gardaí. So everybody's very welcome to come along to any of these events.
And it's a warts and all too. I mean, obviously, it's like any job. There's going to be challenges and there's going to be advantages, and you'll get that information. Right, now, it's a full-time job for some. It's a company, it's a business trying to get money out of people. And there is a phone-based fraud going about at the moment. No harm letting people know about it, Grania.
Yeah, and we've seen quite a few Garda based, purporting to be guards scams recently by emails mainly, but this seems to be a relatively new one. This is a text message. You get this text message. It claims to be from An Garda Síochána. The message indicates that you have an unpaid fixed charge penalty notice. It will direct you to a link where you may now make payment for that fine that you've received from the guards, this supposed fine. This text message does not come from An Garda Síochána. It is a scam. We do not communicate with people regarding fixed charge penalty notices via text message. All fixed charge notice correspondence is issued by post, including reminders for unpaid fines. So our advice to help avoid becoming a victim of any fraud, any type of fraud really, email or text message fraud, don't respond to unsolicited texters or emails either, seeking private information about you. Private information would be your name, address, date of birth, family details, financial details, PINs, passwords. Never click on a link in an unsolicited text message. Independently verify any requests for information. Contact the Garda station. If you get a message like that...
Because I think even those that would park that, the back of their mind, they're going to be going, but... Ring your local Garda station, the local 24/7 station,
There's
and say,
problem.
Look, because they'll tell you straight away, no, we don't text it, ignore it, disregard it, then you can have your peace of mind.
Exactly. But it would create panic. That would create
100%.
Automatic panic, if somebody got a text message saying that they owe a fine that was issued by the Gardaí. So do call us. Feel free to call us.
It's an interesting thing too, in that, sometimes they have some of your information. So they might know your name or even where you're from. So you say, right, they know my name, they know my townland, they know my number, there must be something. Now, I presume when they talk about data leaks, this is where it's coming from, right? So even if they have a little bit of personal information, it doesn't mean it's legit.
Exactly. They may start the text message with your name, for instance, your first name, and then that would add to the validity of it for the recipient of the text, So if they do have personal information about you, don't panic. Don't trust them simply because they know your first name or they have some other personal information about you. And Garda Síochána will never look for your banking PIN number or password, ask you to transfer money. They won't come to your home to collect your payment card, checkbook or cash. It's very easy, to fall victim to this type of scam or any type of scam really. And we are asking people, if they have fallen victim to this scam or any type of scam, please do contact us, report the matter. And also it's very important, if you feel that you have compromised your financial details in any way, if you've provided banking details, contact your bank also and make them aware.
Really quick, because there's, even if it appears to have come out of your account, if you act quickly, there can be ghost payments in inverted commas, so there can be a chance to turn it around. There's no shame in getting scammed. These people are professionals, so notify the Gardaí, and B, get onto your bank as soon as you can to see if those payments can be reversed or blocked. And ultimately, don't click anything in a text. If you have any doubts, ring the bank back, ring the guards back, ring the post office. You know what I mean? They'll be able to validate it for you straight away. And part of the scam as well is if they try and get you on the phone, if they try and keep you on the phone, because they know if they tie you up on your mobile, you can't do your due diligence. And that's part of it as well. I've heard of scams where people have been locked on the phone for 25, 30 minutes. Right. Okay. Good stuff. Interesting question, this one. Hi, Greg. If possible, could you ask Grania a question for me? Is it legal for someone to have two tractors with the same number plate on the road at the same time? And if so, would both be insured? Thank you.
No. Two vehicles cannot have the same...
I don't know why we pay you for this information. I can answer this
You could have answered this one possibly, yeah. So two vehicles cannot have the same registration plate simultaneously. A vehicle's registration plate, it's fixed to the vehicle when it's first registered. It remains with that vehicle until, and in which case if it's ever deregistered, it will remain with that vehicle. You cannot transfer a registration plate from your car to another car, from one tractor to another tractor. It's not legal. So in this case, the tractor with the duplicate plate wouldn't be covered by any insurance relating to the registration number from the other tractor. I would advise this caller and anybody that's aware of this type of behaviour going on to contact Garda, make them aware of it. You can, again, the Garda confidential line can be used on 1800 666 111.
And you might say, well, why? You know, why should I? Well, if you come around the corner and you're involved in a collision with that tractor that's not legal, you know, then all of a sudden you'll be very interested in whether it's registered or if it's insured. I was recently involved in a collision, but the other driver was clearly on drugs. They were not tested for alcohol or drugs. I thought this would automatically happen as I was in shock. I didn't say it. Is it not standard procedure for both drivers, if involved in a collision, to be tested, or do you have to request testing?
No, so Garda must test drivers if they're involved in serious collisions for both alcohol and drugs. So Garda can still exercise discretion. They can choose not to test a driver if it would be prejudicial to their health, or if they're too seriously injured and they require immediate medical attention. So sometimes that happens also. It's not possible to treat them there at the scene, or to test them, at the scene. I'm not in full, I haven't got the full facts of this incident, but it might be the case maybe that nobody was injured, you know, as a result of this collision, or seriously injured. It could be the opposite. It could be the case that the other driver was too seriously injured to be tested. So I'm not in possession of the full facts, so I can't say for sure. But it would be procedure that at any serious, and certainly involving a serious collision, if Garda arrive at the scene, that they do test both drivers for alcohol and drugs.
But if I met a car on a B road and we both clipped wing mirrors, right? Unless the guard, I mean, this person is saying that they believe that the other person was clearly on drugs. But in that scenario, it's quite possible, if the guard didn't believe that to be the case, that they would take notes of what it is, and it's a 50-50. It's an insurance company job sort of thing, is it? Well, is that a possible scenario?
And a material damage collision, say, that we would call it, where there's no injuries. I mean, the guards in this instance, as with every collision, they would have been at the scene. They would have spoken to both drivers, you know, and I would imagine that had there been any suspicion that the driver was under any at the influence of any type of intoxicant, that they would have tested them at the scene. But then, look, I can't say. I don't know the full facts.
You can only give a broad answer because we've limited information.
Yeah, but that caller is free to contact. They would have the details of the investigating guard in that case, and they are free to contact them. You know, there's no problem whatsoever. If anybody ever has any queries in relation to any type of incident, they would be given the investigating guard's details. Contact them and just query the matter with them. There won't be any problem.
Okay, I thought we had a great night. Was it last week?
It sure was.
In the Abbey Hotel. Indeed, time marches on. It was the 2025 Donegal Garda Youth Awards. And as I say, I thought it was a great night. What do you have to say about it?
Well, you had great company.
That's
why you had such a good night.
All those amazing young people.
Yeah.
And there was a few guards knocking about.
There was a few guards knocking about too. It was fantastic. It was very enjoyable.
And everyone stayed. I don't think one person left.
Everybody stayed till the bitter end.
Lovely,
well,
definitely. It wasn't bitter. It was quite a sweet end.
Yeah, it was. But it happened last Tuesday night at the Abbey Hotel in Donegal Town. It's hard to believe it's a week ago actually. The Garda Youth Awards ceremony 2025 took place. And this is an annual awards event. It's organised by Garda Síochána and proudly sponsored again this year by Supermax. So this event highlighted the generosity, resilience and determination of young people who go above and beyond to make their communities stronger. So every youth that was nominated received a certificate at the start of the event. The 5 overall award winners were then revealed later in the evening by Judge Emily Daly. So we'll just give them a wee shout out and congratulate them. The individual award went to Carolina Byrne from St Columba's Comprehensive School in Glenties for her outstanding commitment and impact on her local community. The Special Achievement Award was Rihanna Reynolds. She was nominated by Freuga. She was recognised for overcoming personal challenges and making a difference. The Community Safety Award was won by Casey Reid and Aoife Cameron from Termon GEA, commended for their initiative in promoting safety and well-being among their peers. The Group Award went to John Cannon and Ryan Quinn from Termon GEA Club again. They were honoured for their collaborative efforts in community service. And last but not least, Paddy Boyle from Tory Island got the Special Recognition Award. He was acknowledged for exceptional contribution, a category reserved for extraordinary efforts such as acts of bravery and life-saving.
And they were all brilliant. And, you know, doing great things in different ways as well, be it sort of trying to promote intergenerational interaction, amazing acts of bravery, you know, using a platform to try and progress issues for young people. Like a brilliant sample of what's going on out there, I think. So fair play to everyone that was nominated. Really, really deserving. And I'm not just saying that. You know, you know, really brilliant, strong young people.
And it's lovely to shine a positive light on them, you know, for a change, because you hear so many negative stories, and there are so many exceptional young people within Donegal right across the country that deserve recognition. We want to congratulate our overall winners. We want to congratulate all of the young people who were nominated. And we want to thank those who took their time. Also, it wouldn't be possible every year without the people who take the time to sit down to nominate these young people. So we want to thank them also. We want to thank you also, Greg and Kevin Fury from Highland Radio.
Would you recommend me for comparing MC work?
I would highly recommend
would you?
I would very much recommend
that's
it, definitely.
Good. Excellent. Thank you. Highly recommended.
Highly recommend you. Now, maybe not recommend you as a You're a very noisy eater, to simply say it to me.
Nonsense. I'm surprised you noticed, because your face was buried in ice cream all night.
Well, at least it was quiet when I was eating.
I'm only messing.
And
Kevin did a great job as well.
He did.
Too.
And we're very grateful to both of you. And our 5 overall winners, they'll now be put forward for consideration for a national award.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they do well.
And hopefully, please, well, fingers crossed for them now. We're wishing them all the best luck, and we're waiting on word on that. Hopefully, in the next few weeks.
The success was in the nomination and then the overall winners. And listen, if they went on to something national, that would be the gravy, the icing on the cake. But they've achieved greatly as is. All right, brilliant stuff. Presumably you launch 2026 next week.
Well, we'll launch it not next week, but no, very soon. Can I just say one very quick thing before I go as well? And it's not in the notes, but it just came to my attention there. I know we mentioned it last week, I think, and back a number of weeks before that, in relation to fraudulent notes. I just want to to the business owners
you mean
locally.
Like 20 quid notes and
These
stuff?
These are the Bank of England £20 notes, and they were taken in by a few premises in Letterkenny and Buncrana in July, and more recently again they've appeared again in Bundoran last week. So I was just made aware there this morning that a business premises here in Letterkenny received some of those notes again this week. A quantity of these notes were given in. So they're the £20 Bank of England notes, and up in the top left hand corner of that note there's a hologram near the 20. There's a hologram there. So if even a quick check, if you're taking these in at the point of sale, just even do a slight scratch, that peels off on these fraudulent notes, and it says prop money underneath. Just be very vigilant. Business owners, speak to your staff, check the notes thoroughly.
Do you know the thing too? Like, we were so much aware of cash and fraudulent notes. I couldn't tell you what a £20 note looks like.
No,
genuine, not anymore. Like, between most of my transactions are digital, and I'd say an awful lot of shops transactions are digital. And I just think if you're 18, 19, 20, or even 30, 35, and you're working in a shop, like, you need to be shown what is a real note and what isn't.
And maybe that isn't being done anymore because so many people are tapping their phones or their card and they're not.
Tell you what a £20 note looks like.
It's just something I wanted to mention, just to make business owners, because we've had quite a few instances of it now, and in a lot of the cases they're asking for these notes to be changed over to the euro currency. And that's being done,
and
unfortunately, in some of the shops.
They're probably saying, look, I don't care about the exchange rate
of that, yeah.
So obviously prop money, that must mean that they're covering that up with a little sticker.
It's a wee hologram. It's up in the top left-hand corner of the note. And if you do a slight bit of scratching at that, but even, look, use the marker, use whatever method you have in the shop to check notes. Be very vigilant.
For sure. Because that's money lost. Okay, thanks very much, Grania. Appreciate it. That's Garda Grania Doherty. We'll be back with Community Garda information after the 10 o'clock news next Tuesday. And just to remind you, you can listen back to it on our podcast live on our website from 12:30, and it'll be up on Highlands and the Garda Síochána's Facebook page a little later on today.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
Braca Perth Sheep Breeders Society are holding their 12th annual show and sale of 100 aged rams, shearlings and ram lambs in Braca Livestock Mart this Friday 26th, including large numbers of SIS eligible rams. Large numbers of females also available on the day. Show at 4, sale at 6. That's this Friday in Braca Mart.
September has arrived and your local Maple store has everything you need for a fresh new season. From tasty lunchbox fillers to warm autumn treats and all your everyday essentials. Maple has everything you need under one roof. Quick, easy and always local. Call into Maple Milford, Maple Express Carrigard, Falcarra Castlefin or your nearest Maple store. Keeping it fresh, local and convenient. Don't forget to follow your local Maple store on Facebook for exclusive monthly offers and updates.
Imagine if you could test drive everything in life. Marriage, new jobs, even your in-laws. Well, at least with your next car you can. At iMotors, we've been helping Donegal families for over 50 years find quality used cars they can trust. All 100% checked and come with a warranty. Take one for a spin today. Visit us in Letterkenny, Malin Village or at imotors.ie.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Planning a celebration? Discover the brand new Lily's Restaurant at the Mount Errigal Hotel. A stylish new space with beautiful surroundings and your own private bar. Perfect for birthdays, communions, anniversaries and more. Book now at Res Diary or call 074 912 2700.
Le cuaig bliain is fiche anuas, is iad an bord an masnéis do hiranní an inse an tífa atá agat. Chun teach der asnéis thulir agus an tífa chearta agus tedliachtaí. Sa réir mar a aithríonn an síl, aithríonn muid na freisin, agus mud a cinntiú go bhfuil rochtain agat a gcónaí asnéis neamhlíonta sir an aisce. Le haid tuile eolais, té hiag citizensinformation.ie. An bord an masnéis do hiranní, in our bhuinse an tífa le cuaig bliain is fiche.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1-800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
It's Patrick Feeney here, and I'm looking forward to the Highland Radio Country Music Weekend at the Clanry Hotel in Letterkenny this October the 31st and November the 1st. I'll be on stage along with Michael English, David James, Stacey Breen and Jordan McBoden. It's going to be 2 fantastic nights of music and dancing, but spaces are filling fast, so book now at theclanryhotel.com or highlandradio.com.
If you're naturally curious and want to solve problems, or you want to have an impact on issues you really care about, if you want to make a difference through better public policy, or you've a grá for Gaeilge and want to keep it in the conversation, if you want to use your skills to benefit society, there's a public job for that. Whatever your interest, whatever your skills, explore hundreds of different careers at publicjobs.ie.
Hi, Kiva here from Barry Brown Cars. Right now, you can get behind the wheel of a brand new 252 Suzuki with 0% finance and a 10-year warranty, giving you a whole decade of confidence on the road. Visit Barry Brown Cars in Milford or Donegal Town today and discover how you can drive away with 10 years of worry-free motoring.
Our best value bundle has just landed in the Virgin Media Playhouse. Watch your must-see live TV, live sports, catch-up TV, and access all the apps you love to binge. Powered by our super-fast, reliable broadband. Bundled together for just €50 a month. Price locked for 12 months. Guaranteed. For more great offers, see virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. New customers only. 500 meg broadband and streaming TV, €50 a month for 12 months, €104 thereafter. Separate subscription required for streaming apps. T's and C's apply.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So overall dry today with crisp spells of autumn sunshine and just light variable southerly breezes, highest temperatures of 12 to 14 degrees. Now, Donald Trump and his czar of health in the United States, RFK Jr., they said effectively they were going to cure autism. That was 5 months ago, and they said we're going to do this really, really quickly. And then yesterday, the White House came out and said that Tylenol, effectively paracetamol, I'm open to correction on that, causes autism. To the point whereby he said that this was the answer to the condition. Now, obviously, I've looked at studies myself, and we're going to talk about that now, whereby, and studies involving millions of children, whereby that connection has not only not been proven, but has not really even been identified. Dr. Dennis McCauley is a general practitioner and is with us on the show now. Dennis, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, Greg.
I suppose, firstly, there's two things here. A, the claim, but B, sort of the implications of what has been said. They're two very serious matters, connected and almost separate. But I suppose your initial reaction to what Donald Trump said as it relates to paracetamol, effectively, and autism.
It's very disturbing. It's really not science. It's just dogma. It's just an agenda-driven dogma. I think I want to state on clearly, this is not true. This is from the source that advised us to take bleach for COVID. So just stop it. It's not true, but it's worrying that it's happening, and it's part of an overall agenda, which is very worrying.
How do we know that what he's saying is unproven?
Because there's no science. Science is very easy. I can remember when statins came out initially, I gave a talk that I didn't believe in them because the science wasn't there, and then the science appeared, and you said, I probably one of the biggest prescribers of statins. Science drives medicine. Logic drives medicine. Now, this is in the same realm as bleach cures COVID. There's no evidence. This has come out of nowhere. This is hopefully they'll hope that the autism rates will, they'll say, it'll take a couple of years, i.e. when they're out of government. This is absolutely no science. There is no basis to this. I haven't read a study in that regard. I'm old enough to remember the Andrew Wakefield thing about the MMR, and I think we've got to just come out straight and say this is not true. This is absolute nonsense. This is from bleach. This is the same as Bleachgate. It is rubbish.
I would also be,
I think that's important. There is no
ambiguity.
Change of that. This is rubbish.
I would also be very peed off if I was a woman because, carrying a child is difficult enough as it is. And there's a number of people could be bothered by this. Women could be discouraged from taking paracetamol when it's advisable to do so. And I presume that potentially could be ramifications for their child they're carrying in certain circumstances. But also, people who are already dealing with a diagnosis of autism or a child with autism, and then effectively potentially being made feel guilty as if in some way it was their responsibility. I know there's houses in America or wherever it might be where a husband's turning to the wife saying, listen, this is your fault. You were the one chewing paracetamol throughout the pregnancy or whatever it might be. So, the ramifications of this are huge.
Oh, there's so many. It's for the poor, autism is a multifactorial issue, and there are so many things, but it took us a decade to get the whole disconnect between MMR and autism. And I think that would cause so much distress for people. And as a result of that, people didn't get vaccines, and as a result, there were health consequences as a result of this. So I agree. I think from the medical point of view, there's the medical and there's the political point of view. From the medical point of view, the effect that it's going to have on people who have children with autism, Then in relation to pregnancy, I think there's a political thing here going on. There's an agenda-based thing that, women's rights, women's autonomy. Look at the restriction of contraception. Look at the fact that they're encouraging natural IVF before going for IVF. It is really It's just is it a displacement theory issue? Are we going to get eugenics next? It's really frightening, and it's actually there are so many strains to this. You see Robert F. Kennedy Jr. undermining good science when it comes to vaccinations. And just getting back to pregnancy, they are against vaccination of ladies during pregnancy, whether it be the flu, COVID, or the actual whooping cough, all of which are strategies that save mothers and save children. And there's no doubt about that. There's the issue with antidepressants in pregnancy, and that is it's a more difficult thing, but it is still there. But they have poo-pooed. There's even someone who said that depression doesn't exist in pregnancy. It's a gift. These are discussions which are undermining the autonomy of women. It is a disgrace, and it's in a worrying agenda. But even coming back from the politics, because I am a doctor, but I do look at health policy as well, and the health policy changes in the United States are worrying, and they seem to be victimizing women, and they're against prevention. Two of the most stalwart parts of medicine.
Really,
so
it is really quite remarkable, and one would have to wonder what the motivation is. I mean, yesterday too, Donald Trump says that babies are getting 80 injections a week. This is the kind of information that he's throwing out there as just off the cuff stuff, but people listen to him religiously. I want to come back to a point on that, but I also just want to talk about the use of paracetamol during pregnancy. Is it generally what guidance do GPs give, or why would it might be important to take paracetamol for certain conditions to protect the mom and, ironically, in this conversation, the baby? So what is the guidance there, Dennis?
Paracetamol is a safe painkiller. It's also used as we know from our children to take down temperatures in mothers. A high temperature for a mother during pregnancy is bad for them. It's bad for the child. Being in acute pain in pregnancy is bad for the mother and is bad for the child. So this is why I would say that there are certain antibiotics that are totally safe from the moment of conception to delivery, and mothers naturally they want to do the best for their children. So they're always worried, and they'll always just double check if this is safe. And this is why I want to say paracetamol is safe. This is rubbish. This information is rubbish. And there are certain other things like antibiotics which are they're totally safe for there's certain antibiotics that are totally safe. And I think that, if they were chatting about that, I would be more interested in chatting about alcohol during pregnancy, which we have a loose association, a loose respect for alcohol during pregnancy. I would be much more inclined to mention that. But also, it's the flu season, it's the COVID season. Pregnant ladies' immune system drop your immune systems drop during pregnancy. Having a COVID vaccine and a flu vaccine is very safe. The whooping cough vaccine is very important to protect your child when they are delivered, because whooping cough, because of this vaccine skepticism, whooping cough is coming back. You don't want to have your child be exposed to whooping cough. So vaccination, paracetamol, antibiotics, it's all safe during pregnancy because the science says so. These information that was given last night was given from the same person who thinks that bleach was good for COVID. That is the level of scientific rigor.
It just is, and I say this is politics. The consequences of trying to get a win on something are huge here. As I say, there's been studies involving 2.2 million children in Sweden, I believe it was, where they were able to cross-reference everything: twins, siblings, kids that were raised, had the same sort of environment, but one twin might have autism, another twin may not. Like over a number of years, it's exhaustive, and it could actually demonstrate no actual link between these two things. My concern is, and this is a broader one, is that now medical advice has become politicized. I get that some people were skeptical about how COVID was dealt with. We've learned lessons from that. Some of what was said was correct, it turns out, potentially. I'm not getting into that. But now that people blindly, because they support a political movement, might take unhealthy advice that could be damaging, particularly to women and children, that needs to be depoliticized in my view. People can have a distrust or cynicism or skepticism and do their own research, right? But to blindly go down an avenue because of a certain person you might support politically, incredibly concerning.
I think it is a paradox. The people that are suffering here because of the misinformation in the United States, particularly, are children because of the vaccination issues. And now there's, as I mentioned, there does seem to be an agenda, sort of respecting women, completely opposite of that.
It also feels like it's like they're not saying it, but it's God's will almost.
It is cherishing the woman. And that you basically, it just is. I have fears coming down the line, and it is really scary. And I think it is. You don't really need IVF now. There are natural methods, and unfortunately, there are certain mothers who just. I've been involved in infertility all of my practice life, and it is such an emotional issue. And then to be told that you shouldn't do that, and it's bad, and it's almost a sin to actually go for these things. If you add any emotional baggage to anything such as that, it is a disgrace. And it is, I'm just talking about eugenics. I'm talking about displacement theory. I'm talking about all of this. This is in the background circling. And we used to laugh that it would never come. But, oh, Lord above me, I just, when you see this and you just see the blatant political aspect of this, this will never be proven or disproven in the term that he has left. So he'd say, I cured autism. The figures to show that it's complete nonsense will not be there till he's out of power. No. It is so cynical.
And it should be also worth noting that autism was identified long before over-the-counter paracetamol actually became available. There's a 20-year gap there. Okay.
I don't think we should actually even try to justify.
I get you, I understand. But I mean, that's just a basic fact. You don't even need a study to determine that. Okay, Slán, thank you, Dr. Dennis McCauley. I do appreciate it. News on the way.
Join David James on the Highland Radio Outside Broadcast Team this Wednesday, September 24th at 2:30 p.m. for iCare Buncrana's 25th Anniversary Open Day. Take a trip down memory lane with a special photograph exhibition. Don't miss the celebrations at iCare Buncrana. See you there.
Are you going through intense treatment, alopecia or hair thinning? At the Donegal Wig Centre and Patrick O'Day Hairdressing, we have over 30 years experience helping people feel themselves again. In our private consultation suite, we have the largest selection of beautiful wigs and hairpieces in the Northwest, and we're HSE approved. To arrange your private consultation at the Donegal Wig Centre in Letterkenny, call us today on 91254776.
For the biggest names in perfume and aftershaves, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Dolce & Gabbana, Paco Rabanne, Carolina Herrera, Calvin Klein, Jimmy Choo and Burberry, Ariana Grande, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Vera Wang and many more. From timeless classics to celebrity favourites, there's a perfume or aftershave for everyone at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
While you're here, we know we've a lot to get through. Searching for low prices shouldn't be one of them. That's why Screwfix check prices daily on over 1,000 essentials and basics. Screwfix, low price, check.
How are things? How's the family? How are you? How can I help?
When it comes to supporting people living with dementia, it starts with asking how. Because how is a small word, but this social connection makes a big difference. So if you know someone affected by dementia, check in with them.
and learn more about how you can help build dementia-inclusive communities at understandtogether.ie from the HSC.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's 11:01. Let's get a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A Garda investigation is underway after a car was burnt out in Lifford at the weekend. It happened shortly before 11:30 on Saturday in the Croghan Heights area. A parked car was set alight and the fire service attended the scene and extinguished the blaze. Gardaí want to hear from anyone who may have travelled in the area with a dash cam between 11 p.m. and quarter to midnight, and they're particularly interested in any sightings of 2 people in the area with their hoods up. A HSE audit from 2023 has found that hospital consultants in the West and Northwest were the second highest average earners in the state after their counterparts in HSE Dublin South East. The audit results, details of which are published in today's Irish Independent, show that nationally the number of hospital consultants earning over €350,000 a year for treating public patients jumped to 99. A man required hospital treatment after an alleged assault on High Road in Letterkenny on last Saturday. At approximately midnight, the man was reported to have been attacked by another man who was described as being tall, of slim build, dark-haired and wearing a black jacket and black trousers. The man in question made off on foot towards Main Street. Gardaí are appealing to those who have information to get in touch. And meanwhile, Gardaí in Letterkenny have renewed their appeal for information about a single vehicle crash on the N14 at Carrick-Dawson Raphoe shortly before 9:20 on Sunday morning. A Nissan was travelling from Lifford towards Letterkenny when it left the road and ended up in a ditch. The driver and passenger were taken to Letterkenny University Hospital to receive medical treatment for non-life-threatening injuries. Bailey, the in-house support dog in Malaghan Prison in County Derry, has been removed from the premises. A Northern Ireland Prison Service spokesperson says the spaniel was removed because the PSNI warned that an external source planned to harm the dog in an attempt to embarrass the governor. The statement concluded that the ongoing inaccurate and sensationalist reporting about Bailey has been an unnecessary distraction from the current challenges facing the prison service. And finally, Junior Minister Marion Harkin, a Sligo, Leitrim and South Donegal TD, says she will nominate Maria Steen so she can run in the presidential election. Ms Steen currently has around 14 members of the Oireachtas backing her and needs to reach 20. Ireland Independent's 4 TDs are meeting this morning to decide if they'll back her bid for the presidency. The deadline for close of nominations is tomorrow. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with more at 12 noon.
Thanks so much, Donna Marie. We'll be back with more on this show after this break.
Fancy fish tacos tonight? You'll catch some amazing prices at Aldi, that's for sure. The finest Irish breaded haddock goujons are just $2.99. Sour cream at just 89 cents. Mixed chilies only 49 cents. And 8 mini white tortilla wraps are just 85 cents. That's an evening treat at amazing Aldi value, all wrapped up. Good food, good mood from Aldi, while stocks last.
Okay, welcome back to the show. A little late, actually, and this is my fault, not anybody else's. It's a request for my mum, Jean McFadden from Falcara. A very happy 80th birthday today. Best wishes from Maria and Joe. And happy 80th birthday to Nana Jean McFadden from Falcara. Enjoy your day. Love always from Orla, Amy, Emma and Shay O'Donnell. And a big happy birthday to you, Jean, from all of us here at Highland Radio and all of our listeners too. I hope you have a wonderful day, and my apologies, just a little bit late in getting to that. Right. Liam Cannon is a psychotherapist and founder of New Dawn Counselling, and he joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you, Liam.
Good morning, Greg.
I know you have concerns because you've sort of hinted at them in our previous conversations, if you haven't actually said it directly, and that's over the regulation of counselling services in Ireland. So I think it's really important that when someone goes to seek help or support, that they're actually getting help and support that's of benefit to them. What is the situation in terms of regulation in this area at the moment?
Okay, well, over the last, I suppose, really since the foundations of the profession of counselling and psychotherapy in Ireland, you have a number of accrediting bodies that have been set up, over the years, and those bodies actually have been responsible for regulating the profession to date. So those bodies have done a really good job, really, to be honest with you, because the standards that they have set, and I'll just give you an example. Currently in Ireland, in order to work as a counsellor or psychotherapist, the requirement is a minimum of a level 8 honours degree.
Which is hard one.
Which is, but also, that's the academic requirement. But on top of that, what is required is that during training, a trainee therapist would have a minimum of 50 hours of personal therapy. And that's really a huge part of the training, because in order to work with other people, and in order to recognise if you're being triggered by somebody else's material, you need to kind of look at your own life and your own experience. And so that's a huge part of it. On top of that, you're also required to have a placement, and during placement, you have to work face-to-face with a minimum of 120 clients. And then on top of that, for every 5 client hours that you work, you have an hour of clinical supervision with an experienced supervisor.
Now that sounds like it is good, because that means it's very robust, right?
Absolutely.
But you're speaking from a position of someone who's gone through all of that.
Absolutely.
Is it somewhat too robust? It
No.
sounds like a lot, or do you believe that is what's necessary to be able to? Because I'm thinking someone who might be interested in getting into this field might be saying, well, that's easy for Liam to say, but I think I could do a very good job in this space if.
No, well, you see, you have to remember you're dealing with material that quite often is, as a psychotherapist, you're dealing a lot of the time with unconscious material. And so your job is to really understand the unconscious. Your job is to really help the client from information that they present to you, the links between what has happened in their past or impacted them from their past that's still impacting them today.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. So you need
complexity.
It's complex. But you need that level of understanding of yourself and also of your clients that you're working with.
How did we find ourselves with 20 professional bodies responsible for these fields? It sounds like an awful lot. How is that? How did we find ourselves in that situation?
Well, yeah, we do have quite a number of accrediting bodies, and they all have different standards. They all, however, are very similar.
Yeah, not the basics.
In terms of what the requirements,
yeah.
In terms of what the academic requirements are, and in terms of the process that you must engage in. But I suppose we have different people who have different ideas about it, and they have founded the accrediting bodies, but they have adopted this very similar standards to what's in the UK. So that's where we are.
So that would be classed as self-regulation.
Yes.
Now, some people might go, well, self-regulation, who's watching who? And then there's this plan to move it to statutory regulation, which some people might say, right, okay, well, that sets out a certain standard and, there's oversight and it's not self-regulation. And on the face of it, that seems like where we should be going in this day and age. But obviously, you have concerns in relation to that. Why so?
Well, yeah, of course, the other... I suppose that you have your accrediting bodies, and then over the last number of years, because of the unregulated profession and because of the type of work that's done, it was important to have it regulated, and this is ongoing for 20 years. To be honest with you, it's 20 years in the making. However, the people appointed by the government to put statutory regulation in place is CARU. And CARU are responsible for health and social care professions and regulating them. So they do regulate other professions. However, my concern here is that we do need better standards. But the concern I have currently is what they're presenting as regulation. So I suppose it's quite complex in a way for people.
Well, can I ask a question and see if this helps?
Yeah.
I'm getting the impression, and I could be wrong, that we are making changes to stop people who are very poorly qualified from operating in this space or self-identifying or what have you.
Yeah.
But in doing so, we potentially could be lowering the bar overall.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it, Greg, and that's exactly what's actually happening. On one part of it, we're raising the bar academically, because now we're requiring a level 8 for a counsellor and level 9 for a psychotherapist.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's okay. I don't have a problem with raising the academic bar, but I do have a problem in the other part of it, which they're saying that there's no requirement for personal therapy.
Yeah.
Which is a big part of anybody who's a psychotherapist.
How broadly is that felt in the... would you be classed as an outlier in this space in concerns that personal therapy might not form part of the new regulation?
No.
Yeah, it's across the...
It's across the
board.
board.
Why might they get rid of that requirement?
Well, because I don't think they understand the profession.
Okay, that's
simple,
a problem.
Simple, they don't understand the profession. The other part of it is that, you know, as I was explaining to you, when you're a trainee, you're expected to be in supervision as a student, but post-qualifying, you're in supervision for the duration of your career. And you have to, you know, under the current regulation, you have to have an hour of supervision per month minimum.
Okay.
So I am a supervisor. I am, you know, qualified supervisor. I have to have supervision of my supervision work.
Yeah.
And I also have to have supervision of my practice work. And that's where I sit with somebody, like sitting with you here now, present the cases that I'm maybe struggling with, and the supervisor is, you know, works with me to look at, you know, how to manage those. They're saying, Cara are saying, there is no, we don't need to be doing this.
Yeah.
So they're scrapping the personal therapy and the supervision
Why
piece.
might they do that? I presume in coming up with regulation, they're going to be chatting to, you know, either the 20 bodies that were previously responsible for this or those like yourself, who are not only supervised but can supervise.
Yeah.
Was there consultation with the people that have been doing this for the longest?
There was consultation with the accrediting bodies, and they came out with a draft a number of years ago. The draft had been circulated to the memberships of all the accrediting bodies, and the draft, there was a lot of amendments put forward to Caru that needed to happen in relation to the draft. And now, most recently, they have come back with a new draft of it. Well, you know, basically they're saying there's no more consultation, but there has been zero public consultation on this at all.
Yeah. Now, there's been a warning issued that Caru, that if Ireland keeps going the way it is, it'll have the lowest level of standards in counselling in the EU.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that purely because of the removal of self-counselling, or however you phrase that?
Well, you know, the European Association for Counselling and Psychotherapy are actually, their standards are quite high, which I don't have a problem with high standards. It's essential with the work that's done. However, they're looking at what Caru are proposing and how the structure of it. So the you know, the removal of the personal therapy, the removal of the clinical supervision, you know, all those elements that are very core.
Well, they're checks and balances, aren't
Well, they're checks and balances, but they're much more than checks and balances. They're actually ensuring that the person, the psychotherapist, isn't going to burn out.
Yeah, their welfare as much as
but
anyone's.
They have written, the European Association has written to Caru there most recently, stating very clearly that if they proceed with the current suggestions or template that they have there, that Ireland is going to have the lowest standards within the profession in Europe.
Okay.
Which is very worrying.
Now, obviously, this conversation is having been had in your circles extensively, and something you have been contributing to, working on, you know, reacting to, etc. I think the purpose of this conversation really is you want to make, firstly, the public aware of this situation, and if they're minded to agree with you and share your concerns, to make representations to their local public representative in this regard.
Exactly, Greg. Yeah, that's the really important piece, is that you lobby your local representatives to put forward something, to have this re-looked at again, because this needs to be looked at. And again, it's not about lowering the standards, it's about at least maintaining what's already there, and the core elements. I mean, psychotherapy is a vocation rather than a profession.
Is Carew, it's actually not fair for me to ask you their motivation, but are they trying to make a career in psychotherapy or counselling more accessible? Is that
No.
Are they under pressure to have a bigger throughput? Like, why might they remove something that's been proven to be effective?
I think I think the removal or the change, I suppose, is essential. It's necessary. We do need change.
Yeah, understood.
But what I think Carew the issue I have with Carew is that they clearly do not understand the profession.
Okay.
And they're going along with, if I put it to you in this way, they're going along with the likes of psychology. So because psychology, somebody studies psychology for 4 years and they come out with a certificate, but they're actually not a psychologist. They have to continue. So it's academic they're looking at.
Yeah,
rather than.
So you'll
the
think that maybe this is a lack of understanding or oversight rather than a calculated decision almost.
Well, I mean, I think there needs to be further consultation on it, absolutely, and there needs to be, I think, more representation from the accrediting bodies. The model that's there could have been enhanced, and make the regulation process, on the template that's already existing, rather than, doing a clean sweep and coming up with something completely different, So, but, that's one part of it. And I think, going back to what you said there, it's really important that people lobby their local representatives out there to even raise this, because this is a big issue, particularly when Europe has actually, the European Association has actually made a stand on it themselves to say that Ireland's going to have the lowest standards within the profession. But on another note, in relation to all this, I mean, people need to be aware that because it's an unregulated profession, there are many, many therapists out there with the very minimum of training, weekend courses, the likes, and they're setting themselves up as counsellors and psychotherapists with fantastic websites. They're very good at
doing that. Yeah.
So it's really important, I would say, to a member of the public, anybody out there who's looking to engage with a therapist, don't be afraid to ask them what their training is. Who are they accredited by? And that's a really important question. They need to.
Well, what's the correct answer? Because there's 20 accrediting bodies at the moment. Like, how would someone know if they said, Johnny No Mates versus, whomever? Like, how do we know the difference between what is a good accreditation or not, or none?
Yeah, well, I mean, any of the main bodies that are out there. So we're talking about the Irish Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy. We're talking about the Irish Council of Psychotherapy, and we're talking about Irish Association of Humanistic Integrative Psychotherapists.
Right, okay.
So those are the main leading bodies, but there are other bodies out there who you need to check what's required. So at the minute, a level 8 honours degree is required, and if somebody hasn't got that, then it's telling you that they haven't actually gone through that process themselves.
Right. Okay. Is there any way people can sort of brief themselves on this? So that, I mean, obviously, people are very good and they can pick up the information as we speak. But time, you can sort of, if they want to find out more information on this, is there a resource that they can have a look at before making contact with their local rep if they're moved to do
Well,
so?
yes, of course. I think, there's lots of information online on it, but the accrediting bodies will have information on their websites as well in relation to it. So, that maybe will, I suppose, decipher, the large volumes of paper that all these things produce and bring the key points that need to be addressed to the surface.
Yeah.
In a short synopsis.
Okay, I hope we covered it adequately.
Yeah.
And I think people will get where you're coming from. I do appreciate your time, Liam Cannon, psychotherapist and founder of New Dawn Counselling. Thanks so much for calling in for that conversation.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
At FBD Insurance, we've been supporting businesses across Donegal, Sligo and beyond for over 50 years. Pop into your local insurance experts in the FBD branch on Main Street, Letterkenny, or contact us on 074 912 6299 and see how we can support your business today. Open from 9:30am to 5pm, Monday to Friday. FBD Insurance. Support, it's what we do. Business insurance is underwritten by FBD Insurance plc. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The Chadwick's autumn sale is now on across all branches nationwide. Myra SE Elite 9.8 kilowatt shower, only €275. 8 kilowatt Waterford Stanley freestanding stove, great value at €699. DeWalt brushless drill twin pack with 2 batteries, now an incredible €499. Visit your local branch or shop online for more savings at chadwicks.ie. Chadwick's.
Let's get it done!
Earn as you go with our PTSB Explore current account. Earn up to €5 cashback a month as you pay with your card. And up to 5% cashback when you pay bills with our partners. For a banking experience that means more for you, apply in-app and start earning today. PTSB. Altogether more human. Qualifying criteria, terms and conditions apply. 5 cent back on card purchases up to €5 per month. Bills paid by direct debit required. Account partners and benefits are subject to change. €8 monthly maintenance fee applies. Other charges may apply. Over 18 personal customers only. E-statements only. Permanent TSB PLC trading as PTSB is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Indulge yourself with friends or a loved one at the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel in Bundoran. A midweek or weekend spa break is the perfect way to escape from life for a while. Take a leisurely walk along the Atlantic coast. Enjoy a dip in our private pool, a plunge in our Canadian hot tub, and treatments of your choice before dining in one of the Holyrood Hotel's acclaimed restaurants. The Spa at Orchids. Book now at holyroodhotel.com.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
23 minutes past 11. Welcome back to the show. Carol said, as Liam said there on Facebook, there are many therapists who are fully accredited through different organisations which don't fall under the 3 mentioned here. Ask the question of your therapist. They'll be more than happy to give you the information. Right, now, Sandra Adams is a concerned parent about the new curriculum and joins me on the show now. Hi, Sandra, how are you getting on?
I'm great. It's a beautiful day in Dublin. I hope it's beautiful
where
you are.
It's absolutely stunning, Sandra. Now, I know you were part of the consultation process and you had time with Patrick Sullivan, who we spoke to earlier. So do you have concerns that remain?
I do, yeah. I was engaged in an in-person focus group. I met with Mr. Sullivan online with other parents who were also concerned. And I would have to say, I would actually agree with a lot of what Rebecca said there before the 10 o'clock news. Parents haven't been given all the information, and you can't consent to something unless you know what you're consenting to. It's a bit like being offered a contract after you've signed it and there's an additional 5 pages that you never saw. And just this morning, I went on to the NCCA, or to curriculum.ie, which has the new curriculum. And if you look at the Wellbeing Toolkit, there is a section on sexual orientation. And when you go into it, it does actually talk about gender identity. Now, the unfortunate thing is that the whole document isn't available. It says that sexual orientation is distinct from gender identity, and it then directs teachers to page 56. But page 56 isn't available. Now, I have no problem with teachers talking about gender identity if it comes up in the classroom. But what I want to know is, how will it be discussed? Will it be presented to children as a fact? So will teachers say everyone has a gender identity, or will teachers say some people believe they have a gender identity?
This is the problem we have here, just in relation to that, because you know, we've been assured that gender doesn't form any part of it. And you might have heard, I don't know if you heard my conversation with Patrick Sullivan, presumably out of habit said LGBT. and then clarified, no, there's no T, it's not T, there's no gender, it is literally about sexual orientation. So I'm in a little bit of a dilemma. Well, so I've got someone who's responsible for it telling me to my face and on the record that gender does not form part of the curriculum. And then I have you, Sandra, referencing a non-existent page saying it is. And I just want to make sure, as you can imagine, that I get the correct information out.
Yeah, of course. Well, what I would say is I would direct parents to curriculumonline.ie primary/curriculum area toolkit. And they will see the Wellbeing Toolkit, support materials, and 4 bullet points. And one of them is sexual orientation. Click into it and you will find gender identity is listed. It's then directing you to a page that is not available. Now, what I would say with regard to what Mr. Sullivan said, I asked Mr. Sullivan for a definition of a phrase that is in the framework document. Now, parents need to understand this. The curriculum isn't one document. It was 26 years ago. Now it's multiple documents. There is a framework which I engaged with in the consultation. It mentions gender and sexual identities. I asked for a definition of that. I FOI'd it. It was never provided. Now, the toolkit seem to be saying something different to what the specification is saying. That is deeply worrying. If you think about it in another way, there is a new anti-bullying policy being introduced to schools called Be Cináltas, Be Kind. Everyone is concerned about bullying. No child should be bullied. In the policy, it talks about transphobic bullying. No child who has a gender identity should be bullied. But the problem with it is, if you talk about transphobic bullying to primary school children, you have to talk about gender identity. But you can't avoid it.
So the scenario as it's set out, right? So they're talking about possible questions to explore in this toolkit, and one of them is let me see, where does it say? Can you think of stories, movies, or real life examples where people love someone of the same gender, a different gender, or more than one gender? Is that what you're...
Now, what does that mean?
Well, the gender... So,
well, what does gender mean and what does sex mean? Well, because they are very important.
Yeah, but the point is, you see, if we're only talking about male and female gender, which is what I've told we are, it's quite clear. So if I were to love someone of the same gender, for me it'd be a man. A different gender, it'd be a woman. Or if I was bisexual, it would be man and woman. That's and it says it says key vocabulary for teaching this learning outcome: gay, lesbian, bisexual, relationship, attraction, love, sexual orientation, heterosexual. There's no reference to non-binary. There's no reference to identifying as a different gender. We seem to it's the semantics of the word gender versus sex. But if you are of the view that there are only two genders, you shouldn't have any issue with the language.
No, it's not. It's not just semantics. It's really important to understand what the words mean. So does gender mean biological sex? Okay. Or does gender include gender identity?
Well, it says clearly.
And that is something it has to be clarified, because let me give you this example. What if a child asks a question about gender identity in the classroom? How are teachers being trained?
But you're saying gender identity. You see, but Sandra, it's almost as if the gender war has been won in this document, because gender, there's no need for clarification or sex, because as from what I can see in this document, there's two genders, male and women, or women and men, because it says, well, it says here, how can you explain sexual orientation in a child-friendly way? Yeah. Some people are attracted to someone of the same gender. That's called gay or lesbian.
Yeah,
that's clearly defining gender as men and women. Yeah,
I think you're correct. If I think of a red car and you think of a red car, you might think of a Porsche and I might think of a Mini, and they're both red. But some people, when they hear the word gender, they hear biological sex.
But some people when they hear the word gender, yeah, of course. But gender, some would feel that the word gender was hijacked, right?
I would agree with them.
Yeah, okay.
I think it has been hijacked.
Okay, but this language, as far as I can see, seems to be reclaiming it as gender meaning man and woman. There's no ambiguity. I see nothing in this document that suggests gender is fluid, gender can be changed. It looks to me like they have taken control of it and said actually it's man or woman. If you're attracted to someone of the
you
same...
are looking at one document.
I'm looking at the bit you
document
referenced,
is backed up
Sandra, I'm looking at the bit you referenced.
by the well-being. The well-being toolkit is a suite of resources that will be used to deliver the curriculum.
Oh no, I'm referencing.
Toolkit,
that's what I'm referencing. It's the primary well-being strand, emotional and relational education. That's the bit I'm quoting. This is the toolkit for teachers. That's what I'm looking at.
And I'm quoting the same document, to you, and I'm saying where it says relevant definitions for well-being, sexual orientation, it says sexual orientation is distinct from gender identity. Go to page 56. I can't see what's on page 56, so I do not know how teachers are being directed to address a question, a legitimate question that a child might have. If you think of it from this perspective, and this is why parents are not paranoid, they're right to be concerned.
Okay, so let's role play, Sandra. So what would you see? So I'm 13, right? And I say they're talking about genders, and they're being quite specific in the genders. And I say, well, my auntie was born a man. What does that mean, teacher? Like, what is the appropriate response?
Your auntie was born. I think what we would need to be clear about is that are we talking about gender identity? And the teacher then is put in an impossible position because they either have to say to that child, yes, your auntie is a man, which is telling children in the class that women can turn into men, or the teacher has to say, some people believe that is the case. And then you have an issue where the children in the class are being confused because the problem is if you look at something like the Beacon Office anti-bullying policy, if a child says, I don't believe that a man can turn into a woman or a woman can turn into a man, but one of their peers does, or one of their peers has a relative who has, or they think they are born in the wrong body, is that child then going to be accused of bullying?
Well, you see,
these things are
Sandra,
all connected, and it's a refusal to answer a question directly. And it's this question: are we permitted to say, I do not believe everyone has a gender identity. You can believe it if you wish.
But you see, you're arguing things,
for that
Sandra.
belief.
Your fight has been won in terms of gender. No, one second, Sandra. Sorry. No, let me put the question. But if you could just let me, please, respectfully, if you could just let me ask the question because maybe you're a mind reader. I haven't put it to you yet. Gender ideology is out of the SPHE for primary schools. There's no ambiguity there.
It is not.
Gender ideologies in the SPHE. If you could point me to that so I could understand your point then.
Yeah, I have pointed you to it.
But you're
in the wellbeing toolkit.
Yes, but you're I'm in the wellbeing toolkit. The wellbeing toolkit, to me, from what I can see, and I'm also looking at the key vocabulary for teaching learning outcomes, that there are two genders, male and female. That's all I see in this document. You're concerned about how a teacher then might be outside of this SPHE document interpret a question from a student.
I'll explain to you why I have legitimate concerns about that. Because the Irish National Teachers Organisation produced a training video for teachers to answer that exact question.
Yep.
And the video says, if a boy says, Miss, can a boy become a girl? Can a girl become a boy? The answer was yes. Now, that to my knowledge, the INTO has not rescinded that training and has not retracted that belief. So it is an entirely legitimate concern that if it is, because it is, the concept is out there in the world, it will come up in classrooms. What we as parents are entitled to know is how will the question be answered? Because my fear is that the department has made a decision that it does believe people can change sex. And if you allow anyone to query that, you then face a very, very difficult situation in the classroom, and it's an impossible position that teachers and principals have been put
yes,
in.
but if teachers are asked questions all of the time. Say it's a mixed race couple. Say a child asks about a mixed race couple. Teacher, my mom's going out with a white guy or whatever it might be. Okay. Each individual teacher is well able to discuss that, I presume, to answer that question.
I'm not sure what that's got to do with sex,
because you're talking
because
it's a potential for awkward social questions that might come up in the classroom. That's all I'm saying. I'm sure these questions happen all of the time, whereby it's a complicated social question that you have to deal with, and there's not a toolkit, right, that I can see at this point that promotes gender fluidity or gender changing. Well, I can only go by what's black and white here in front of me, not what questions may come up.
Okay, we'll talk about what's black and white and what's in front of you. In the Beacon Altus anti-bullying policy, there's lots of resources for parents and for teachers to go to, and included in that is TENI and Belong To. But there's no reference to an organisation called GenSpect, which would have a different view of how we compassionately look after people who have issues with their gender in an evidence-based way. Now, that to me very clearly states a decision has been made about what the department believes, because there's no allowance made that people might have a different view. But there is a document, there's a training booklet called Busybodies that was produced by the HSC, and it's used in teaching in SPHE in primary schools. And that states clearly everybody has a gender identity.
Now, let me just put it to you, Sandra. Let me put it to you at this point, okay? If we were 2023, I don't know when you were in this conversation with Patrick Sullivan, but where we are now, okay, that the EHRC in the United Kingdom, our nearest neighbours, including Northern Ireland, I could spit into Northern Ireland from here, have stated very, very clearly what sex is. It's biological, born a man, born a woman. They've also and are about to issue guidance shortly that means someone born a male, under any circumstances, can't go into female spaces. Since 2023, one sport after another now has, bar the part run, has eliminated people who've changed gender, in inverted commas, from participating in a different sport. We've got the opposition party here, Sinn Féin, Pádraig McLaughlin, who's the party whip, saying quite clearly what a woman is, right? So society, that question was posed. It was a bit awkward as to how we would deal with it, right? But gender ideology now is in retreat, whether that's right or wrong. Look at the United States of America. Puberty blockers for kids have been banned. Schools being able to withhold different pronouns from the parents. It's done away with. That's what I was saying when it's retreating.
If only we,
Do you accept what I'm saying?
No, I don't know. Actually, I'm afraid we in Ireland are not in that fortunate position. It is not being retreated from here. It's being doubled down on. And if you think about the sporting bodies, let's talk about the Ladies Gaelic Football Association, which permits males to play in the female category. It is not in retreat in Ireland. This curriculum is in black and white telling you it is not in retreat. The Beacon Altus anti-bullying policy tells you it is not in retreat. You go into Crumlin Children's Hospital and it is festooned with Progress Pride flags. It is not in retreat. And parents are not paranoid. I would say to parents, in the most respectful way, you make it very clear to your principal and to your teachers that you do not want these concepts taught to your children and you want an option to remove them. It is impossible to remove.
Well, it seems like really, to be honest with you, we both need to see page 56, you know?
We need, what I would say, Rebecca made a really important point. Yeah, Rebecca made a really important point. She said that when Minister McEntee was discussing the Convention on Education, which is coming up, that Helen McEntee didn't talk about parents. And you said no. On the 24th of July, there was a press release issued, and it does state parents. And I would say to you, go and look at all of the social media posts from the day after, the 25th of July, including a 2-camera recorded video that Minister McEntee made. on X, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. There is no mention of parents in any of those communications.
I know, Sandra. I think some of that's gotcha stuff, that because she omitted it, like the official document, the plan involves parents, and she said it in the press statement.
Can I just put this to you, though? How can we have confidence in a minister who has children, who is a parent, and who speaks to camera about a convention on education and doesn't notice that parents aren't included in the list of
in what she says? Okay,
I am not
fine.
A stakeholder.
That I understand. I get you. I think they need to clarify it, because, to be honest with you, a lot of this stuff is very easy for them to clarify. You know, show us page 56. Personally, I don't think anymore that there is a will by the powers that be. Maybe I'm being naive, but I await to be proven my change. Otherwise, I don't think there is a move now to actively push gender ideology, personally speaking. But we will keep a very close eye on it, because I want to make sure that those... Why are you laughing at me, Sandra? Out of interest.
No, I'm not. What I was going to say, is that it's lovely that we can respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
And that's really important, that we can have these conversations and we can respectfully disagree with one another. It's been very difficult for people like myself and others who are concerned to have this opportunity to address people.
We've been speaking about this issue and parents' concerns right through the entire process for the last 8 years. Because everyone's views are incredibly important. Sandra, thanks so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Enjoyed the conversation, and we await page 56 with interest, and that's not to in any way diminish its importance.
Thank you.
Slán, thanks, Sandra. Sandra, have a lovely day. Sandra Adams, concerned parent there about the new curriculum, and it's more... I think this is not paraphrasing what Sandra says, but whomever's responsible needs to get that info out there, because in the vacuum of the info being there, the page 56, so to speak, we are forced to simply only speculate as to my reading of it, though. My reading of it, what I have so far, and again, I'll say here quite clearly if I'm proven wrong, is that they seem to be referencing two genders, male, female, but we'll see.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
Hey Sean, let's have a kickabout.
So Grace, let's go bowling.
Right Jack, let's get that pizza.
And what about you? Yeah, you. Have you got an hour a week to spare? Big Brother, Big Sister volunteers around Ireland are supporting young people simply by hanging out, doing normal things and being a friend. It's that simple. Is this something you could do too? If you've been looking for more purpose in your week, find out more about volunteering at bigbrotherBigSister.ie. Come on, you'll be great. Proudly supported by Toyota.
Do you want to become a qualified scaffolder? SafeTech are running the 7-day basic scaffolding course in Sligo starting September 24th and in Donegal starting October 28th. Also running advanced scaffolding in Donegal starting on the 9th of December. Funding available on all programmes. Terms and conditions apply. Contact SafeTech today for your training requirements on 074 91 27786 or visit safetech.ie.
Hegarty's Home Interiors Buncrana, the biggest direct importer of sofas, beds, mattresses and flooring in the Northwest. Best in stock deals on selected sofas and corner sofas. Best in stock deals on gas lift beds. Best in stock on mattresses. Best in stock deals on laminate flooring, semi-solid flooring and carpets. Full fitting service on carpets and wood flooring. With a free delivery service throughout the Northwest, including all of Northern Ireland. Hegarty's Home Interiors Buncrana. Always lower prices.
She's the Queen of Country and Irish, Margot, live in concert. Catch Margot with the Ryan Turner Band Wednesday the 22nd of October at the Mount Derrigal Hotel in Letterkenny, with special guests Shinny Cramsey and Damian Davis. Tickets available now at the hotel reception. Call 07491 22 700. Join Margot at the Mount Derrigal Hotel October 22nd for an unforgettable evening of music and memories.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1-800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
Do you live in Letterkenny or Ballybofey and have old gold or silver jewellery to sell? We will be at the Clanry Hotel Letterkenny today and Jackson's Hotel Ballybofey tomorrow between 1 and 6 p.m. to buy your old and broken gold and silver jewellery. Any conditions bought, cash paid.
For schools, colleges and workplaces, BizPrint can take care of all your printing needs. Books, posters, pop-up displays and much more. Call BizPrint on 9177955 or see bizprint.ie.
Hello, I'm David Foley, medical herbalist. Are you suffering with a cold, flu or sinusitis? Then ask for Irish Botanica Echinacea, a traditional herbal remedy. Irish Botanica Echinacea is your natural solution to relieve the symptoms of the common cold, flu and sinusitis. Call into the Natural Way, Letterkenny Shopping Centre for more information.
With TUI, there's more choice than you think. Beach days or a city break. Weekend in Rome, booked. Fly from your local airport, of course. Just a hotel? Got them too. Number of nights? Take your pick. Tailor your trip with more options and more choice. TUI, live happy.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out shaneconleycars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Níl sé éasca gnó a rachtáil, ach bechógamach sé éasca ruchtana áil haceocht. Is é an millfuntar náisiúnta nua an inse éonar de haceocht ile an rialtas do gnó. Le breis agus céadach tú taceocht in éon áiteamháin, tá sé níos éasca ná riamh dioltas, cóirle, ilehaint agus go leor eile aimsiú. Agus ná bích imníart mar bhfuil iscad cattá weit, tróróí ar bhrin chairachú gach céim den bhealach. Tuair cuairt ar nih.gov.ie chun fálam chunas is féidirlinn cabhra. An millfuntar náisiúnta, tosaíonn an taceocht an seo, tionscliftechuid rialtas na hÉireann.
Experience a magical night of traditional Irish folk with Trasna, Ger O'Donnell and Trevor Sexton, masters of guitar, flute, banjo, whistle, double bass and more. Saturday, 18th of October at Anchurch Hotel, Gidor. Tickets €25. Accommodation packages available. Book at anchurchhotel.com or hotel reception.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So overall dry today with crisp spells of autumn sunshine and just light variable or southerly breezes, temperatures 12 to 14 degrees. A listener was in touch with us and said, how do I tell my child what to do even if their friends have different rules? My child has just started secondary school and of course it's all about how to be cool and how to fit in. She's 13 and in our house, if a movie is rated 16, you're not allowed to watch it. Age classification is in place to protect children. My child wants to see the latest Conjuring film as all their friends want to go. I think this is wholly inappropriate as I know my child will have nightmares and I'll be the one up at night trying to comfort them. However, there's no talking to them. There are tears when I put the foot down and say that there are different rules for different households. Just because another parent says it's okay doesn't mean it's okay in our house. How do other parents navigate protecting their children while also letting them not feel left out with their friends? And we had lots of listeners' comments in relation to that. Some with a more relaxed attitude, others saying, you know what, you're right, you know your own child best. Colin McFadgini is marketing manager at Eclipse Cinema and joins us now. Morning.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you on the show. So, I mean, what are the classifications? Because there's different classifications that don't necessarily mean no under is a certain age. So what is the classifications there?
I'm glad you asked. And I made a comment myself because that is something that's confusing to a lot of people. Not least as well, of course, we often watch, UK TV or they're watching stuff on YouTube and see classifications from other countries too. So it's hard to say. So there's 6 classifications and a couple of them are guidelines. So general cert means for everyone. PG means it's pretty much for everyone, but there could be some scary moments.
So, so in terms of parental guidance, does the parent need to be there, or you presume the guidance has been issued if the child turns up?
I would say any movie for PG, generally you're talking about kids under the age of 10. There has to be an adult there. I would say so, but it's saying there might be a few scary moments, but it's okay. 12A. Now this is where the confusion starts. 12A means, yes, under 12s can go with an adult.
Accompanied.
But there is a guideline. Really what they're saying is, look, you know your own kids, but maybe, under 8s, probably not. But a 9, 10-year-old, a lot of the Marvel superhero movies are those. Same with 15A. They're saying, look, you know your own kids. Maybe you want to bring them. They might be ready for it. Stuff like the Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a huge kids hit, is 15A. They're saying, look, they're fine. And you can bring them. But really, rule of thumb, not under 12s. 15A means, 12, 13-year-olds. But then we get to the two that have caused the confusion with The Conjuring. It's 16 and 18. And that parent's email is very interesting. However, the thing is, it's not a choice. It's not up to other parents. 16 is a hard rule in the Republic of Ireland that means nobody under 16 should be allowed to go in the cinema.
Doesn't matter what mom and dad thinks.
Doesn't matter what, like Ruben Amorim said, it doesn't matter what the Pope asks him. It is 16 hard and fast, and the same with 18. Now, that's a different matter to whether people should watch movies, and I think we'll probably get to that. But for cinemas, this is a hard rule. Now, of course, we live in Donegal. There's 15-year-olds that look older than you and me, Greg, who will wander in, and there are different rules and different cinemas. But that is the rule. And I think if, parents understood that more, they can say, you don't want to kick the can down the road, but it's much easier for that parent to say, I'm sorry, it's against the law, which is true. And it's in much the same way. There'll be lots of people this Christmas that allow their younger kids have a glass of wine at Christmas dinner. It's different. They're at home. They're with their family. But if they go and have dinner in a restaurant and ask for a glass of wine for the same child, they'd be told, no, it's against the rules.
You see, ultimately,
it's
like a lot of things. The framework is there, and this actually kind of feeds into earlier conversations.
Yeah.
This comes down to parenting. I know for a fact there are parents that say, for instance, don't like underage discos, but their children go. But they don't want the underage discos because they don't want to have that fight with their teenager.
Yeah.
That's parenting. That's what makes it tricky, isn't it? And you're saying quite clearly, if a film's ranked 16, no one under 16 should be in there. Now, listen, there's going to be things happen, right? But, you can't get a greater tool than the parent being able to say, sorry, it's illegal, as you said yourself.
Yeah. I'll give you a good example. So the cinema I work in Bundoran, we do regular parent and baby shows. We can't do a parent and baby show for a 16 rated film, even for a 2-month-old who can't do it, because that is against the rules to bring a baby in. So that shows you the way it is. However, 15A, fine. We can bring anyone else in because, common sense would tell you the baby's going to be fine watching Magic Mike, But they're the rules. And I think if parents understand the hard rules, of course, look, we live in the real world, Greg. Things are going to happen. But as a hard rule, you just go, I'm sorry, that's against the rules. It's like serving them in a off-lights or anything like that. They're the rules. 16 and 18 mean only if you're 16 and 18. Doesn't matter what your parents said. Doesn't matter what your rules are. And what you do is you go, somebody will say, well, but my kid loves The Conjuring and really wants to watch it. Fine. It's not the 1970s anymore. Jaws was on recently, right? I saw Jaws when I was way too young. It was illegal, but I went when I was 3, cried my eyes out all the way through it. It must have been a nightmare for the other people there. I saw it again recently. Still as scary as ever, but I didn't cry this time, Greg, because I'm a big boy now. But even so, right, when Jaws came out, my family were desperate to see because it wasn't on telly for 6 years. There was no VHS. There was no way to see it. The Conjuring will be streaming in a month.
Yeah.
Let's realistically. And I love the cinema, and I think more people should go to the cinema. But for those things, you can say, yeah, you and your friends can come around, you can watch it in the house and be safe if you think that it's appropriate for your own child. But
everyone knows their own child better.
Yeah.
Like, the difference between my two eldest at 13 is night and day. And I won't know.
Yeah.
They're both through 18. One would be unlikely to have had nightmares and watched it. The other would just take it in their stride. It wouldn't put them up or down. One would be inclined to react to jump scares. The other wouldn't. Yeah. They're two very, very children. And I would have to have, as a parent, knowing them best, made different decisions for the two of them. But sometimes those decisions are tough. But I can't expect regulations to change to make that job for me a bit easier. I hope I don't sound like I'm being insensitive, but
No, but what you can do, because you know your children, I would say, go watch the movie yourself. Make the decision that way yourself. Come watch the movie. If I was not a professional, I would mention that they're only $5.95 on Tuesdays. But come and watch the movie yourself and make your decision. Because as you said, two kids grown up in the same household, totally different attitude to things. There's a lovely movie out at the moment that I was talking about with Rory on Saturday. And, you know, it's a very gentle romance movie called A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. But there's a bit in about death of a parent. So there's families out there that would be a really tough movie to watch, even though everything is appropriate. And again, there's a big difference as well. Watching something at home, whether you're little or even a teenager, watching something at home in the safe environment of home is very different. Then you're with your friends and you're afraid, what happens if I cry in front of my friends? Am I going to be slagged? That sort of stuff.
But, you know, can I just pick you up on what you said? I know for some teenagers, especially with anxiety, what have you, the mortality of their parents might be one of the things they worry about most. And if they were faced with that in a film, it might be far more distressing than a character's head
exploding,
comically exploding or rotating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And actually, I have to say, the British rating system, the Irish system is very good, and I think they're particularly good because when you see higher ratings, it tends to be very violent stuff or very often sexual violence, right? They're pretty liberal with general, you know, a sexy scene.
There's no sexy scenes in films anymore anyway. What happened
Well, not
there?
really. No, the Generation Z do not want that.
There?
But when those things happen, they understand it. But the BBFC, particularly their website, you can Google it and it has some spoilers in it, but it will tell you why they've made those decisions. And if you're a parent and you're nervous about it, there's several websites that will tell you.
IDMB's parent guide's very good, actually.
Yeah, they're very good. Yeah.
Okay.
And they will tell you, and maybe, you know, something you're particularly sensitive about. It's a death of a parent. Or maybe there's something about, you know, special needs, or who knows?
See, I would base it, with this 13-year-old, and this parent has done it, I would base it on what you deem their maturity to be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not in condoning anything illegal, but the number is not almost as important as where they're at in their development, their emotional development, and their resilience. And it's a tough call, but that is a mum and dad call, or mum or dad call, or whatever the combination is.
100%, because as you said, we all have different attitudes and different things, and again in different environments.
Yeah.
I think with small children, people go, she's grand, she's seen all the other movies, but then they're in the cinema, it's really loud and dark,
Collie,
and it's really scary.
And what are they seeing on EastEnders and Coronation Street and Emmerdale?
Yeah.
Some tough stuff, but I do have to go, Collie. Thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. We'll do it again. Have a wonderful